Greetings and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin. Joining me today, she's not too tall for puppets or this podcast. It's Joanna Robinson.
Oh, wow. Dunk doesn't have the words, but you definitely do. You have all the words, and I'm really excited to hear them.
So many words coming today from both of us. It is time for the deep dive
Right.
dive into A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 2, right after this. Okay, Joe, let's refresh everybody on how we do this. How do we cover A Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
Wow, I'm so glad you asked. First of all,
Yeah.
immediately after the episode ends,
Yes.
up on a video platform of your choosing, Talk the Thrones.
That's right.
Chris Ryan, Mallory Rubin,
Mm-hmm.
Joanna Robinson. Instant reactions to the episode immediately after.
Delightful.
Right now, we're doing the deep dive. That comes a couple days later.
That's right.
You can email us, hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com, if you have thoughts on the episode that you would like us to address.
The inbox is always open.
We will be digging into text and lore and all of that, but not
Yes.
spoilers.
That's right.
Until the very end of the episode.
And you will have a warning right on the brink of the spoiler section. You can't miss it. Carlos is going to add in sound effects that scare the shit out of you.
We did get an email from someone who said they got very scared by the spoiler warning last week.
I think we are airing, out of an abundance of caution that nobody can say, I did not know what section of the podcast I had made my way to. Spoilers will all be at the end. That'll be a brief little section. We're just going to spend a few minutes every week looking ahead. Book passages, I mean, we love to read them, but spoiler safe until the very end.
Right.
Like, follow, subscribe, follow the pod on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch full video episodes of the House of R on the Spotify app. Incredible stuff. You can watch videos on the Ringerverse YouTube channel, and you can follow the Ringerverse on the social media platform of your choosing. Later this week, we'll be doing the annual hype draft, a little later than usual this year. Thank you to everybody for the patience, but we're drafting hype squads with
It's definitely
Sean
happening.
and Rob. We have already recorded it. So we can finally say with confidence that it will be airing.
Yeah.
Perhaps the only time we can say with confidence lately that things will be airing is after we have recorded them. So that's coming. And of course, on the Night of the Seven Kingdoms front, the Midnight Boys.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. Also covering
On Monday.
this wonderful show on Mondays. Chris and Andy are checking in on Mondays. Riley McAtee is writing wonderful pieces on theringer.com. What a great website. The Ringer is hyped about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It is a wonderful television program that we are having a blast watching and are very excited to talk about again today. Before we get to it.
Yeah. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about
Yes.
some things that are going on in the world really quickly. I know that some people listen to this podcast to escape that, and that is an absolutely fine way to listen to this podcast. So if you want to skip ahead, go for it. We did get this sort of speaks to that. We got an email from our listener, Elsie in Minnesota, living in Minnesota, who wrote, how you both speak about the hero's journey and the big stakes, not just character death, and paying attention to things, how we care, and every fucking thing a Hobbit ever said is really helping me get through this dark time and to find the courage and the strength to protest and donate and be active in my community. So that's something that Elsie said, that like our podcast was sort of a good escape for her. We got an email from our listener, Paul, as well. And I can't really get into the specifics of what Paul wrote because it was about some things that we would only talk about in the spoiler section of this podcast. But I think I can say, I think it's already clear if anyone has like watched the trailer for this show, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that this is a show about chivalry and standing up for what's right and defending sort of people against bullies and oppressors and all this sort of stuff. That is the source of this story. And so thinking about that a lot when thinking about what's been going on in Minnesota, in Minneapolis in general, and specifically what happened this weekend, which really hit me really hard. Yeah. And I am going to wrap this up with, we don't always talk about politics, but sometimes we do as it pertains to like the story that we're telling. And I think this story really resonates with some things that people are feeling. But I thought I'd just go back to a classic, which is our guide Nemec from Andor, who said in season 1, The imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks, it leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. And then ellipses. Remember this. Try. So, for everyone who's trying, we're thinking about you. Something I posted on social over the weekend, a pal of mine whose family lives in Minneapolis suggested a website called standwithminnesota.com.
Yes.
Just to sort of send resources if you're feeling helpless and hopeless and want to put your energy somewhere, that's a place that you can put it.
Yes.
So standwithminnesota.com. We're thinking of all of our listeners everywhere and very specifically our listeners in Minnesota, Minneapolis. And I just thank you for giving me the time to talk about that.
This is a truly appalling and abhorrent time in our country, and obviously an incredibly difficult time for a lot of people. And if Elsie or Paul or anybody else we heard from or anybody else who's listening right now can find courage or comfort or strength in their community and the example that anybody is setting in the words of a story that gives them some sort of sense of purpose, then that is a beautiful thing. And this can be a completely deflating and helpless and hopeless time. We talked about this a lot when we covered Andor and heard from a lot of people about how, as you said, sometimes for people, stories are escapes so that you don't have to think about the world. And sometimes when you fall into a fictional universe, you can find something there that helps you navigate the real world. And that idea from Nemec that just,
every step
one
forward.
crack, one crack, and then eventually the dam breaks, gave a lot of people a sense that they could attempt to do something. And it can feel so hard to know how.
Right.
So hard to know
how. It can
feel
so hopeless and so paralyzing. So, that every step forward, like the small hands of the hobbits, sort of like, what can you do, even on a small scale or even on a large scale, to move things forward. And I think that I don't think it's wrong to take respite also in stories or in podcasts, wherever the case may be, because maintaining joy is a great weapon against tyranny in general. So, the idea is to keep you helpless, hopeless, frozen, joyless. And that's worth pushing back on. So
beautifully said.
Love you.
Oh, I love you too, pal. Opening snapshot. We still don't have a ton of information about how A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is performing, but we mentioned last week that there were no viewership insights at the time of that recording, and then some came out.
Yes.
So per HBO, 6.7 million people watched the first episode in the first 3 days.
Right.
Does it feel that way to you? Are a lot of people buzzing about the show in your life? We are obviously in our bubble of Thrones fandom and people who podcast about pop culture, so it's a little bit hard to tell. Does it feel like it's animating a lot of discussion in the wider world?
I don't get that sense.
Yeah.
Do you?
Not really, which is sad. I really want more people to discover the show and discover the joy that awaits them.
You mentioned this when we recorded the hype draft that people have not seen yet.
Little preview.
But I think we both agree that there's a real opportunity for viewership to grow on this. That as the greater story unfolds and this smaller story's greater relevance in the history of Westeros unfolds, then maybe people will feel like it's worth tuning in for.
It's my dearest hope. Even if it is right before the finale.
Yeah.
6-episode season. They're half-hour episodes. This episode of television that we are talking about today, Hard Salt Beef, 33 minutes.
I know.
This is the shortest episode of Game of Thrones ever. It's a meaty one. It's a beefy one. It's a hard salt beefy one. But people, if they're hearing the buzz, they're going to be able to spend an afternoon catching up on the show, heading into the finale, potentially.
You can watch this in an evening, you know?
Donald is here helping us out today. Shout out Donald. And before we sat down, he was like, you're talking about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms? I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, that show is dope. I'm loving it.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, let's fucking go.
The sea is dope and so is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. No,
CR
I mean,
said it, so you know it's true.
HBO framed that number positively, right? They were
Right.
saying like this is one of like the top 3 premieres we've ever seen on our streaming, like a lot of caveats about like sort of the wins in the house to try to frame it. But yeah, it's a muted debut. We want this show. I mean, the good news is that the show is cheap to make.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have to pull in huge numbers to prove they're worth keeping around. That being said, Warner Brothers is headed towards a merger, and we don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the merger. So it would be nice to feel like you're a bona fide hit going into the merger to secure your future. Like, because I think a Casey Bloys under his own auspices would keep a show like this around.
Yeah.
But it's not clear that that's going to be his decision to make post Warner Brothers merger. So I'm just thinking about that. I want all 13 seasons of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Same.
That's what I want. So
same.
I want it to do well. So if that's just me turning on my like HBO Go and just like letting it run to crank those numbers up, I'm willing to pay that electricity bill. You know what I mean? Maybe I should just leave it on for the cat when I leave during the day. You know what I mean?
Is Bug enjoying the season so far?
She
Big
loves
fan?
It. She loves it. Yeah.
You mentioned it's a cheap show to make. How much of the budget for season 1, has there been any formal reporting? How much of the budget went to Ser Arlan's giant cock?
You've been so restrained. I know you've already made a few references, but like genuinely, this is demure for you. I was expecting wall to wall.
I mean, it was the first thing I said on Talk the Thrones. So, you know, part of what we do here is try to make each podcast different. Every show should have a clear identity.
Sure.
The giant dick will be coming up plenty today.
Yeah.
Make no mistake.
Will they be dicks?
Will they be boobs? Oh, man. From cocks and boobs to poop.
Well, so this is the thing that some people are citing. A lot of pearl clutchers, I have to say, on the I was on the A Song of Ice and Fire Reddit, and just a lot
who don't like the diarrhea.
I was like surprised, not just the diarrhea and the Ser Arlan in all of his splendor. And I was just like very surprised by that, because I was like,
couldn't be me.
We've seen so much violence on Thrones.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like horrifying, horrible, extreme things.
Yeah.
And a little bit of poop and a prosthetic cock are like driving people away in droves. I don't buy it. Anyway,
not all of us.
On the poop front, we did
the bad babies rise to the challenge?
Yeah. So last week, Mallory dubbed the bird in the tree watching Dunk relieve himself Poop Robin.
That's
and
right.
I suggested he could use a better name. And the bad baby, we did, I would say, the highest percentage of emails we got were about poor Poop Robin and the naming debacle.
Yeah. Has Diarrhea Dunk caught on in the last couple days since Talk the Thrones, or?
Nope.
Okay. That's a shame.
Yeah. Got to work on your cultural penetration.
Wow. That's what Ser Arlan is here for.
I set that up for you.
You know?
So several listeners want to let us know on a scientific front.
Yep. Science Corner.
While
quote,
the bird in question is a European robin, I think it's worth mentioning that the American robins belong to a genus called Turdus. Turdus. So Poop Robin as a moniker is rather fitting. And our listener Casey followed up to say, my childhood friend had a younger sister named Robin. The older sibling came across a birding book and looked up Robin as one would, and ever since Robin has been known as Turdus.
I mean, that's really brutal.
It's really tough.
That's brutal.
If your childhood nickname is Turdus and your sibling has named you that,
rough.
And there's just like no, unless you pretend it doesn't bother you and they actually forget about it, but there's no way.
Robin's a great name, though. My stepsister's name is Robin.
I have a really good friend named Robin. Okay.
Robin from Stranger Things.
Our listener Nathan suggested a very Monty Python-esque brave turd Robin.
That I like.
Bravely brave turd Robin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A listener Robin with a Y suggested shitbird. Our listener Jordan said, since anything French sounds sophisticated to English ears, how about Robin de Merde, or the more Quebecois sounding Robin de Chia, which basically means shitting Robin. In truth, though, you had me at Poop Robin. So.
Oh, there you go. It sounds to me like Poop Robin really won over the masses.
And said Sir Wing, which I liked based on our like Sir Win conversation last. And last but not least, TJ came through with a bunch of great options, and I just want to run through them really quickly. TJ suggested shit Sterling.
Yeah.
Foul movement.
That's excellent.
Bird of spray. And song turd.
Honestly, all great. Bird of Spray is excellent.
Yeah.
Given the particular state the dunk is in that moment. I like foul movement a lot. When I worked at Sports Illustrated, we had a bowling. We were in the Zog Sports Bowling League at Port Authority, and the team name was the Bowl Movement. It feels of a piece. We won the championship one year.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing to do with it. I participated in consuming the beer towers, but I
Good
can't
job.
say I
Towers?
contributed much. Oh, beer towers. Yeah. Oh, the beer towers. Yeah.
At the bowling alley?
Oh, yeah. I mean, life in New York, it's just a different thing.
Is it like a champagne tower?
No, it was just like a giant. Just a giant,
like a beer bong
like a
sort of
Ser
thing.
Arlan-esque. Yeah, ish,
Oh.
but huge.
Okay, I was imagining like a structure, and I was like, with all those
No.
balls and pins knocking around, you wouldn't want to.
Yeah, that would be
structure.
too risky.
Okay, so like a beer bong, like a.
But gigantic.
Yeah.
Enough
Okay.
to fuel the entire team that contributed to the championship.
Sure.
Ben Glicksman, now
and
here at the Ringer, a member of that championship squad.
this is a different.
Ian Orifice, one of my great pals, wonder what he would think of Poop Robin.
This is a different time for you, where you were willing to put your mouth on the same receptacle that other people put their mouths on.
How to comment? How to answer that question? Sure, there was a time in my life when I did that plenty.
Uh-huh.
When I lived in New York, I got sick a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to
And
think
that's
it was
different from now because
now I believe that I can do things toward that off, and then I'm constantly confronted by how false that is. But in New York, you're riding the subways.
oh yeah,
You're drinking from
You just
beer
give it over.
towers
Give
at
over.
Port Authority in your bowling league. You're
Yeah.
kind of fucked. But
All
here I'm ready to face the day.
So we'll dream of like when I recount
Yeah.
your many exploits, when I am going around making sure that people remember your legacy, as
Yeah.
Dunk does here
Yeah.
with Arlan. I will say, remember a time
That's right.
when Mallory Rubin used to put her mouth on things that other people put their mouths on.
Well, now it's time to talk about Ser Arlan.
Let's do it.
No, actually, before we get to the deep dive, quick table setting takes on the episode. Anything you want to say in just a big picture sense about how you found episode 2, Hard Salt Beef?
We get so much more time with Dunk and Egg enjoying the tourney grounds. Tug-of-war, watching the puppet show, watching the joust, and drinking beer with cider with bugs in it or not, or whatever the case may be. And I just think their dynamic
It's wonderful.
is so precious. And so, there are plenty of people that, let's say the detractors of this show, the pearl clutchers and otherwise, who are like, this is just another lone wolf and cub. And we've seen so much of that with The Last of Us and Mando and Grogu and the upcoming Starfighter Star Wars show and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're tired of lone wolf and cub.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we talked about the Hedge Knight when we did our Lone Wolf and Cub episode a million years ago.
God, yeah. Jeez.
Their dynamic is so different because in every Lone Wolf and Cub story, ideally the two people are learning from each other.
Yeah.
But I think in no place is that more apparent than in this story of just sort of Dunk doesn't have the words.
Yeah.
Egg has the words. Egg is puny. Dunk is tall, and it's very much did you ever see the movie The Mighty? It's like a movie in the 90s, I think it was. Anyway, just like
Maybe.
this sort of collision of like the small and fragile and super smart and the tall and like a little less, intellectually sharp or whatever, and sort of how they can help each other navigate the world.
Yeah.
And I just think that dynamic is so sweet. And they're just like, if, it's early days, but if Sir Dunk the Lunk came up to me and said, that kid Egg is my best friend, I 100% believe it. And I
Yeah.
think it's just like really, really sweet.
And you'd say, well, what about Sweetfoot?
He'd be like, sold him.
Sad! That's a great scene. I can't
needed-
wait to talk about that.
Some dragons for some armor.
Needed some coin. I loved this episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was just so charming and so delightful. I'm excited to go. We'll be going in our deep dive beat by beat through every scene as is our wont. And I really enjoyed all of it. And once again, I think the kind of like tonal blend, the humor,
Mhm.
the heart, the thematic richness, the show, much like Ser Arlan, is packing a lot into a tight space.
Carlos, should we keep a runner? Like a little like ding
Yeah,
on the
you
bottom
can do
of like
a tail of the tape. Like, do I mention Ser Arlan's cock more than Lionel Baratheon says cunt in his like 75 seconds of screen time?
He only says it thrice, and you've already
In this
outstripped him.
episode.
You've already outstripped him.
Oh man. My guy Baelor Breakspear is here. The Targs are here.
Great
Wonderful
showing from the
introductions
Targs.
for
Yeah.
Baelor and Maekar, and Aerion is here. We've got so much to talk about. And I agree. I think the Dunk and Egg dynamic is just captivating so far on the screen, truly captivating. And I love what you're identifying about how they're learning from each other. You know, we talked about this a little bit on Talk of the Thrones, but I really loved the way inside this episode we built from Egg citing, you know, you're both gigantic. Well, you are both gigantic. The commonality, as he calls it, that Dunk and Tansel share. And then we have reminder after reminder that for Dunk and Egg, of course, there are things that Dunk is seeing in Egg that soften him and make him think, oh, he says his mother is dead, and oh, he's from King's Landing, like things that allow him to see commonalities between the two of them. But then mostly it's about how they complement each other, right? Mostly it's about the things that are different between them and how they can become this wonderfully mesmerizing odd couple pairing who surprise each other and us. And it's a great thing to be able to like read, and part of why we love the story so much. And it's been really, really wonderful to watch it unfold through 2 episodes on the screen so far. And I just really, really loved this episode. It's kind of amazing actually how short it is, because I thought it was like, it moved with a quickness and with great pace, but there's a lot in this. Packing a lot in. All right, let's get to the opening of this episode and Ser Arlan's cock. Let's get to the deep dive. Deep indeed. Okay, deep dive. We're going to begin where the episode begins. This remembrance. Dunk is going about lord to lord and trying to find someone who will vouch for him, trying to find someone who remembers Ser Arlan. And we are pairing the sounds of Dunk's efforts to compel somebody, right, with these glimpses into the past. And there is a bit of a gap, a Ser Arlan cock-sized gap between what we're hearing.
That's a sizable gap.
A sizable gap. What we're hearing and what we're seeing. Before we get into some of the particulars of Dunk's sentiments and what he is conveying, and then the particulars of what we are glimpsing in these quick little rapid-fire flashbacks, what did you think just in a big picture, like tonal and structural way of this opening for the episode and the note it set, but also the way it functioned as a bookend with the conclusion of the episode?
I brought this up on Talk of Thrones as like my favorite part of the episode, that we get this sort of like opening contrast with the closing of, so we're watching this episode Dunk go from, yes, like boosting Ser Arlan's rep in order to get someone to vouch for him, but also I think this is how he thinks of him. He was a great knight, right? And then by the end of the episode, he's like, well, great knights don't die in the dirt on the side of the road, do they? Oh no, was he not a great knight after all? And like trotting around behind Ser Arlan my entire youth and thinking I too can be a knight.
Yeah.
That's because I thought he was a great knight, but now I'm learning that maybe he wasn't. So can I actually be a knight if a real knight is more like the Kingsguard that I met or whoever else, you know, and not Ser Arlan himself? Tales grow in the telling.
Yep.
Which is the middle point of this story, right? We get the bookends of his memories, and then in the center we get this line from Baelor, tales grow in the telling. And so is he talking about the size of Ser Arlan's cock when he's talking about that? I don't know.
He didn't need to do much growing, honestly.
Well, if it
he's a shower.
If he
and maybe also a grower, which is frankly a little terrifying to think about.
One of my favorite recurring comments I saw around the internet was people like, how can Ser Arlan's old frail heart pump that much blood in order to inflate that thing?
There's a nude woman behind him, and honestly he didn't last much longer after that, you know? He just kept on going, and he kept on coming indeed, and then he died.
No, but I'm just saying, I know you're making just like tremendously endlessly witty perfect Marlery jokes,
but you're talking about the actual biology of how could
no, but also do we know that his unit was that size, or is that just how Dunk is remembering it? Also, we have been told by Ira Parker that we are firmly lodged in Dunk's POV.
I know, that's
was
a little
Dunk
worrying.
Sleeping under a tree outside of that cottage, had to listen to Ser Arlan take his pleasure with this woman. Hopefully she took some pleasure too. I hope that for her. And then watch him take a leak in the morning. Is that, was Dunk there at that moment?
I think we should assume that Dunk is very close by. We'll hear him talk at the end of the episode about how Ser Arlan hoard, obviously in the text. Ser Arlan's commentary on the horrors of Westeros is a big part of Dunk's education. And I think lamentably we are forced to deduce that Dunk is nearby.
I don't know that this woman was a sex worker necessarily.
Could have just been a villager.
She's got a little cottage. I don't know.
It could be the brothel. Could be the local brothel.
Sure.
I'm just going by the canon, in the episode and the text.
It's true.
All of his commentary. I also just loved the bookend nature and how that functioned in the episode. And I think that idea of, you really heard the Baltimore there. Episode.
I loved it.
Going down to the ocean, hun, to watch the episode. Talk about Ser Arlan and his giant dong. We'll talk about Old Bay seasoning today, probably too, when we get to the crab commentary. So just a big time to be from Maryland. This idea of like the reconciliation. We're talking a lot last week, this week, throughout the entire not only season, but covering this show for as many seasons as we're fortunate enough to get, about the role that like myth and legend plays, right? The tales grow in the telling, a tall tale that became legend. This is present in every aspect of this. And some of that is about the stories that the puppeteers perform, or the stories that are passed down from somebody in your life or across the realm. And some of it is like the story you tell yourself, right? And maybe part of that for Dunk, part of it for Dunk is reconciling like myth and fact and holding on to the things that he learned from Arlan that are good and are right and are just and that will help Dunk. And then also admitting to himself that it's not this like purely perfect thing.
I think specifically when you live in a world where this idea of like the chivalric code exists, but so, again and again, so there's not only what is the truth of my memory of Ser Arlan, and is it chivalry to have sex with a random woman in a cottage somewhere? Maybe she enjoyed herself. What a chivalrous thing to do. But has met all these knights so far at this tourney, and they're real assholes. Yeah. And so if that code is not real, you point out in our notes, and we actually noted this in the trailer, that when Dunk goes and meets the Targaryens, we see the 7-pointed star behind him, behind that entire sequence. There's a window,
the light pouring through,
light pouring through with the 7-pointed star. So like, these are the codes of religion, the codes of chivalry, the codes of society. And if so many people, especially the rich and the powerful, are intent on just playing by their own rule book, then sort of, how do you know what is right? If you don't have a religious text to guide you, or you don't, because no one's talking about religion here, which is, you don't need religion for morality. And then morality has to come from somewhere inside of you. I need to figure out what is actually right. What did Ser Arlan do that felt right? Ser Arlan giving some coppers away when he had barely any.
Yeah, to the villagers.
Ser Arlan taking on Dunk in the first place from the bowels of Flea Bottom. So
whenever you say bowels,
I know who you're thinking about.
I think of our guy Otto
Hightower. Were you thinking about him when you saw the Hightower just like on top of that guy's helm? The
Absolutely.
Hightower helm.
A Hightower challenging a Targaryen? Feels right.
I think of all the things to put on a helm. Like, if you got a fish, sure, put a fish on a helm. If you got some flowers, sure, put some flowers on your helm.
Yeah.
The tower, you're just gonna plunk a little tower on top of your helm like that?
Well, we know what Steely Pate would say.
I know, but like,
very showy.
I would go for some like sick flames on the, because like the high tower has the put some.
Maybe it's just like kind of functional as well. One more.
You think he's gonna joust with
like a little like a woodpecker?
Okay,
all
right.
Little Ser Arlan at the top of the helm. Yeah, I love what you're saying, and I think this idea too of like romanticizing aspects of Ser Arlan's life. Like, part of that for Dunk is romanticizing the notion of being a hedge knight. And what I loved most about the end note of the episode, which of course we'll get to later, is like, he's not rejecting that, right? Like, we'll show what his hand has wrought. There's an embrace of it, but a more complex, nuanced embrace of who Arlan was and of who Dunk wants to be, the parts of Arlan's legacy that Dunk wants to continue to embrace and espouse and inherit. and the aspects of his life that he wants to forge for himself.
Yeah.
So it's just, and then you managed to make us laugh while you're telling us all this about the character. It was very effective, illuminating but effective storytelling.
To have that sort of like moral clarity or building of your interior moral structure.
Yeah.
While also this thing we've noted in last week's episode on both Talk the Thrones, this idea of building his name, his sigil.
Yes.
You know, all the trappings that come with it. There's like the interior core. Who am I morally at the end of the day? And then also, what's my name?
Yeah. Forging all aspects of identity and legacy.
Symbol that identifies me, you know?
Should we paint a shield at some point this season? Or a puppet?
What are your painting skills like?
I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I used to think that when I was young, horrible. I used to think when I was young that I like to draw. There was a brief moment where I thought I could, but then I had to confront the fact that was not true. So again, we all must confront the truth. What about you? Are you a deft painter? I bet you are. You strike me as a talented artist.
I studied painting. I did.
She studied painting.
I did.
Studied it and then successfully did it, or studied it as an intellectual pursuit? But
I would say I
both.
Used to be pretty good at it. I haven't
Watercolor?
done it in a long time. No.
Oil?
Like oil, yeah.
Why have you never painted me anything?
Maybe a red apple's in your future.
Consider it commissioned.
Okay.
Here's what we hear Dunk say. He was a true knight, different than other men. He's talking about more than the giant dick, though different than other men, also because of the giant dick. Peaceable nature, quiet and humble, a veteran of 100 wars, but an enemy to none. I love the enemy to none. That struck me because it's like, okay, enemy to none, but friend to whom?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a subtle thing that this episode and story is asking us to think about. Like, the next line, you know, is that we hear is he never complained, even as he was dying. It's like, maybe he should have, you know?
Maybe he should have
said, some noise. Stir some shit up.
Well, I was about to say, it's not like Dunk would have been like, yeah, you should wash that, because Dunk never liked a bath. But maybe some wound care would have saved Ser Arlan.
Even Sir Donald has some commentary coming on how Dunk smells. It's very, very, very tough. He meant to be a benefit to those around him. It did not make him rich. He held no land, sired no children. Not sure about the sired no children part, but
we'll never know.
Benefit to those around him. Benefit to those. That's an example. That's emblematic of what we're talking about. There will be aspects of who Ser Arlan was, and not only what he taught Dunk, but that's a great flash of where we like Dunk are witnessing Arlan actually doing this thing, handing his limited coin, like you said, to the villagers. And there's a lesson there that Dunk can continue to carry forward. He wanted for nothing but the open air and a fire to warm his feet at. His skills as a warrior were unsung. See, that's the PR spin that Poop Robin needed.
Unsung.
The foul movement, you know? But he had a chin cut from granite. He was a dogged fighter. He kept on coming. Here's what we see.
Here's a worry that I have for Dunk and his training.
Yeah.
Because he's tall. He says he's light on his feet.
Down.
Yeah, but his training was with this old man.
Yep, sure.
So has he ever fought someone, his equal?
Well, I think we know that Ser Arlan has some stamina.
Do we?
He got right back up and he gave Dunk a little tap on the hip and he was like, come on, let's go. Okay. And also he was
he keeps coming.
Fucking up a storm until
we don't know that he was
literally dropped dead.
We literally don't know that he was fucking up a storm.
All right, here's some of what we glimpsed paired with those lines. The giant cock. You think that's why this episode is called Hard Salt Beef?
I do. Ira Parker did say,
yeah, this is amazing,
that this gave Arlan his quiet confidence.
I loved the sentiment that this was in the inside the episode where he basically is like, he had a lot of like shit to deal with, so we gave him a giant cock. I'm paraphrasing, but that was kind of the gist of it, right?
Yeah. He might have lost his nephew in the red grass, but
see what he's packing? Jeez. I said this on Talk the Thrones. I'm standing by it. Dunk should just be saying to everybody as he's trying to get them to remember Arlan. Did you see this guy's schlong?
I will just say, we got several emails about this. We got a lot of comments on the Talk the Thrones episode about it. Almost all of our listeners, I believe, thought of you immediately when they saw this giant cock. They were like, what a gift for Mallory Rubin specifically.
You know,
how nice for her to have nice things.
You work hard.
Yeah.
You pour a lot into your craft.
Yeah.
And you just hope that you can make an impact and that you will be seen and known and understood.
Do you think Arlan hoped that he made an impact?
You know, how attentive was he? Who can say? But I think he's got his toolbox is, you know, hammer and anvil indeed. We'll get to that later. Should he have gone with something other than Ser Arlan of Pennytree? Ser Arlan of the Werewood? What Game of Thrones, like long or tall or girthy thing does Arlan's cock remind you of most? Should we call it ice, you know, for the fabled greatsword? The High Tower, which we've already discussed. Maybe just Hodor? Giant's blood or I'm the queen. No, any of these? Nothing? Okay. Thank you for indulging me. I'm done. I promise.
You're not?
I think I might be. I mean, probably not.
I don't think you are.
I think I'm mostly done.
I think High Tower is what I would pick.
High Towers, yeah, that would be good. That would be good. We don't just see the giant dick.
Tall as the Eyrie.
You know, rewatching, by the way, Chris on... Give me 10 spikes.
I'll impregnate the bitch. Maybe we should pull some of George's descriptor of the wall to describe.
The wall was on my mind as well. You know, yeah, I think that would be good. This is definitely like, it's
not
a
only
different
just
vibe.
not only just like an intimidating climb.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The climb is all there is.
But like the width is also something to think about.
I think that would be really good. It's definitely a different energy than like Cinnamon Wind, Pink Mast, you know? Different vibe here, for sure. Pink Mast is really an all-time
maybe
George.
the worst thing George has ever written.
All-time George move. We see more than
what about Vhagar?
Yeah. I like it. Okay. I like it.
A Vhagar-sized unit on Ser Arlan.
Very good. Yeah. Do you have what it takes to claim and mount
to ride
the dragon?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Chris said you couldn't see the sack, but you could. I checked back in.
I'm so glad you checked.
After talking with Threads, I just want to say
it's so important to have a scholar like you on the case. I'm taking Rob Mahoney's freeze frame title away from him, and I'm giving it to you for hopefully the hours you spent poring over, the freeze frame images of Ser Arlan.
You know, we're watching in HD, so
you have a massive television.
I know, you should have seen how big Arlan's dick looked on our TV. Huge.
I don't even have a TV here. I'm like watching on my laptop. Sad. Okay.
Oh no. That's not the way to experience this at all.
No.
We also see a lot of his scars. And I love this not just because like the passage of time and how you feel that, you know, pairing with this idea that the all the battles, veteran of all these battles, but this idea that like, you know, last week, episode 1, we talked about that cut to pulling out the arrow from the bleeding wound that Sir Manford can't remember. And this idea that he took all of these wounds. Every one of those scars comes from something Arlan did for somebody who doesn't remember his name, doesn't remember who he is, doesn't remember what he did for them, except for the
Baelor breaks
the goat, who we're going to get to. I was going to say soon, but not that soon, really. We'll get to him in like an hour.
Miles to go and many dick jokes to make before we get to Baelor Breakspear.
That could be the log line for the pod.
Miles to go and many dick jokes to make. Sure.
We contain multitudes here at the House of R. What did you think, Joe? A small little tweak or update here. In the book, it basically seems that Arlan just dropped dead of a cold in the rain, right? And here he's got this like festering arm wound. Miriam Asdur not here to put a poultice on. That would have gone fine. It would have gone fine.
Yeah. Sure.
Would have gone fine.
She's a renowned healer.
You can always trust her, always. Another day done, he would sigh, and who knows what the morrow will bring. Dunk, well, one morrow had brought rains that soaked them to the bones, and the one after had brought wet, gusty winds, and the next a chill. By the 4th day, the old man was too weak to ride, and now he was gone. Only a few days past, he had been singing as they rode the old song about going to Goldtown to see a fair maid, but instead of Goldtown, he'd sung of Ashford. I mean, some great bars on the updated Ashford lyrics from Arlan here. What did you think of this? Because, like, on the one hand, I used to have a running argument with my best pal, Allison, particularly in college, where I was like, we're in Syracuse, New York. It's cold. I have wet hair. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to catch a cold. And she would say that's not how science works. You can't catch a cold from having wet hair in chilly weather. So I always thought like Arlan just getting cold and wet and then dying was real fodder.
Yeah.
In my feud with Allison Casca about this. But it seems that he rolled around in a sex bed with a gaping arm wound and then died. So who knows what he picked up. What do you think? Which of these do you like more? Does it feel appropriate that Arlan would have just gotten old and died from an illness? Does it feel more appropriate that one of these wounds finally felled him and caught up to him after all this time?
I like the wound aspect. Yeah. It made me think of not the text, but I was thinking a lot about the Hound in this episode, and I'll bring it up a couple times. But yeah, because like Brienne,
another huge cock,
great, well noted.
But when he whipped that out to take a piss,
but actually. Also that's not why I was thinking about him. But I'm glad that's why you were thinking about him. I was thinking about him as like Brienne, he is another sort of like famed fighter on the road, but has like very anti knight sentiments. Not like Bran, but just sort of like he's like fuck knights. Yeah. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I was thinking about him because I was thinking about in season 4, episode 7, when Thrones was so good, Mockingbird.
Oh yeah.
And Weiss and Benioff added this sequence with this or the dialogue with this dying man that the Hound and Arya meet on the road, right? Yep. Which they took from Beckett, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. The Hound says, they meet a man dying on the road. Yes. He's got a wound. The Hound says, that's not going to get better. Mm-hmm. And the man says, doesn't seem so. A bad way to go, the Hound says. Haven't you had enough? Of what? I know. Time to go. Take matters into my own hands. The thought has occurred to me. So why go on? Habit. Yeah. Nothing could be worse than this. Maybe nothing is worse than this. Arya says, nothing isn't better or worse than anything.
It's just
nothing is just nothing. But that idea of like habit, I'm continuing because of habit. And so Arlan just sort of doing what he does. Look at me. I've got a festering on my arm, but I'm going to keep fucking and giving some coins to the peasants and splitting salt beef with my squire under a leaking tree. That's just what I'm going to do. On the Hound front.
Yes.
I've got a couple passages here of the Hound talking about knighthood, right? Because like this is, we get Florian Jonquil, which of course makes us think about Sansa and the Hound, and we can talk about that later when we get there. But as George R. R. Martin has said, this story is so much about the idealism, the romanticism of knights, and then the reality of what knighthood actually is. We see some of the brutal sort of clashing of bodies and horses and lances and shields inside of this episode, right? This is one thing the Hound said, just as if I was one of those true knights you love so well. Yes. What do you think a knight is for, girl? You think it's all taking favors from ladies and looking fine in gold plate? Knights are for killing. I killed my first man at 12. I've lost count of how many I've killed since then. High lords with old names, fat rich men dressed in velvet, knights puffed up like bladders with their honors. Yes, and women and children too. They're all meat and I'm the butcher. Let them have their lands and their gods and their gold. Let them have their sirs. As long as I have this, there's no man on earth I need fear.
Your father's a killer. Your brother's a killer. They're all killers.
And also, he says, there are no true knights, no more than there are gods. If you can't protect yourself, die and get out of the way of those who can. Sharp steel and strong arms rule this world. Don't ever believe any different. So, the Hound, for all of his flaws, et cetera, had this very cynical, clear-eyed view of what is knighthood and Sansa the Dreamer, right? Yes. And so that, speaking for George in terms of George's ideas of like George who loves Ivanhoe, but George who also wants to paint a very real picture of the brutal nature of this like feudal system that he is covering. And I don't know. I think it's so interesting. Like last week I was just Jaime and Bran. And that is constantly what we think about Bran specifically when we think about Sir Duncan the Tall. But the Hound just kept coming up for me in this. And I have like more moments that it made me think of that. But I just think it's like interesting to think about everything that George has said across his many works about knighthood and his derision towards it. And also thinking about the Hound and Arya on the road and thinking about Bran and Pod on the road and these like, Ira cited the Hound and Arya as sort of like these kinds of duos that he wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. The Hound is very present in my thoughts as well. And I love everything you just shared. And like the fact that, he is a character who, his origin story is betrayal, right? And being let down by a person, his brother, who should have cared for him, protected him, kept him safe. But what did he do? He pressed his face into the fire, right? And so for so much of his worldview and perspective to have been shaped by the idea that the person who you might look to as big and strong and able to keep you safe might be the one to hurt you, that being the foundational text of your life.
I think also it's Sir Gregor Clegane, right? His brother's a knight, and he's like,
and the Hound's like, not
if
me.
That's a knight,
fuck it.
I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. You mentioned the leaking tree. I think we were both, of all the visuals we get.
Should we call Duncan the Knight of the Leaking Tree?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. I was so touched by that little glimpse of them
just like laughing together.
Laughing and huddled.
Yeah.
And the way that, Dunk is really like the caregiver in that moment. He's providing the hard salt beef to Arlan to eat, but also he's like nuzzling him. He's kind of keeping him warm. And the way that Arlan looks up at him just with like love and gratitude as he's in this weak, kind of shrinking, increasingly enfeebled state. I just thought that was so sweet, but also this idea of like, as Dunk thinks through all of the aspects of what does it mean to be a knight? What makes a knight a knight? What does it mean to be a knight? What makes a hedge knight a hedge knight? What does it mean to be a hedge knight? What part of that is pure and true and truer, actually, than the other glorious thing? This kind of moment, that like, not just affection, but shared currency, right? The shared currency of the experience that you had and the life you lived and the memories you formed and the decision you made every day to like go do it that way. And I think for Dunk, I love that he's a character who can say, I want more than that. I don't want to just have somebody roll my body into gently carry and place my body into a very shallow grave on the side of the road. I want more. I want a house. One day I want to be above the salt, right? Above the salt.
At the table, yeah.
And still hold a moment like that as a precious thing in his heart. I just love.
What does it mean to care for someone?
Yeah, right.
And so to watch
and to take them into your life.
To have him lose Arlan, and one of our listeners wrote in very beautifully about this, the way in which Dunk selling Sweetfoot is just like losing another piece of Ser Arlan as he does so, right? So we'll talk about that when we get there. But, a Dunk all alone in the world is sort of how you started this idea of the story last week. But like he has Egg.
That's right.
And to watch them like watch the puppet show with shared wonder, or to watch the tourney with delight and excitement. And even though they both, and then they like have anxiety attacks at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
But they're like enjoying.
Yes.
Like playing tug-of-war together. You know what I mean? Just like enjoying their time together is very important.
And that's also part of what I loved about these visuals, that we get to see, whether it is to your training point from a few moments ago, that Dunk is really the dominant one, even though he is the one theoretically being trained and taught. Here, he's the provider, the nurturer, that even though he is in these moments, in these sequences, still the squire,
these things are fluid.
He had shifted into a different role before the end.
Quick email from Ashley, longtime listener. She says, first time emailer, I would like to know Mal's jerky Rex, please. I mentioned on Talk of Thrones. Yeah. This episode is named after jerky, essentially. You love jerky. You eat it on the plane like a maniac.
Yeah, we've always have it at home. Like to have it as a snack sometimes.
Do you want no free ads? Right.
I like Archer's quite a bit.
Okay.
Great turkey jerky. They have some nice flavors.
You prefer
some beef jerkies as well.
Turkey to beef?
Just depends. I like to have no, not necessarily. Okay. That is my go-to on a plane, actually. I like that Archer's turkey jerky. That's a great one. You know what I had a week ago for the first time in years? Made me feel like I was Jim Hopper in season 3 of Stranger Things.
Jim?
Slim Jim.
Why did you step into a Slim Jim?
It was I'd say the reason is sad, so I won't go into the details, but it was a desperate moment where I really needed a snack, and it was something that was there in a place I was, and I bought it.
I'm glad. I'm glad it sustained you in your hour of need.
I was sustained in a way that Ser Arlan is not. When he droops on the horse, did you think of Drogo? You know, a cow who cannot ride is no cow. Well, like, what about a knight who cannot ride? It's all of these like associations with other moments from Thrones stories in the past and the future, our past, but canonically the future. It's just great stuff. Here are some of the lords who Dunk is appealing to. House Florent, another House of the Reach. Thrones fans spent some memorable time with the Florent. Selyse, Stannis' wife.
Yeah, they love Selyse.
Selyse
Baratheon's everyone's favorite.
She's a shared fave.
Yeah.
House Hayford, a Crownland's house. Lord Hayford, he is one of many who died on the Redgrass field. This is the moment where Dunk, one of the moments where, as you noted on Talk to Thrones, we hear in this episode these subtle allusions to the Blackfire Rebellion. Dunk says here, Ser Arlan fought side by side with your brothers at the Redgrass. His squire, his own nephew, was killed in the battle. So Lord Hayford had been hand of the king to Daeron II, Daeron the Good, but that idea of the Redgrass as shorthand, like we talked about on Sunday night, that there is not a person Dunk could be saying this to who would not know what that meant, that this seminal, seismic, decisive, ultimately battle in the first Blackfire Rebellion hangs over still, casts a shadow over all of Westeros.
Would you also describe Ser Arlan's unit as a seminal, seismic, and decisive?
Yes, I would. I would. I would. I would, yeah. Roger of Pennytree. His squire, his own nephew, was killed in the battle. Roger of Pennytree, Arlan's squire before Dunk, killed by a mace to the face. We'll talk about him actually a little bit more in the book section today. Later. But the fact that Roger dies, very sad, does mean that Arlan needs a squire, and this idea that we keep talking about of like chance meetings, people come into your life, what is the circumstance that you find yourself in when they find themselves there?
Dunk's inferiority complex, which is so interesting given like how large and imposing he is, but he is such like a humble, shy, nervous person.
Yeah,
part of that is he always felt like he was a usurper. Like it should have been Roger here. Roger would know what to do. What the hell do I know? I'm just from Flea Bottom. Like I don't know how to be a squire. Roger would know better how to do this.
And the reason he's not here is because he died.
Took a mace to the face.
Not because I was chosen instead. And then Leo Tyrell. House Tyrell, our old pals, obviously the Lords of Highgarden and the Reach. So as we mentioned last week, Ashford Meadow, they serve the Tyrells. They're vassal lords to the Tyrells.
The Lords Paramount of the region.
Leo Tyrell. We've been tracking the excellent monikers in this story. Leo Longthorn is a good one.
It's about his lance.
It is about his lance, but it could be also about his dick. He is described as a peerless jouster in the text.
How do you feel?
One of the champions.
He will be one of the champions. Yeah. How do you feel about meeting him sort of like Tywin Lannister-esque, like in an apron?
Yeah.
Like this, he's the Lord Paramount of the region.
Yeah.
And he's just like in the camp.
Yeah.
You know, sharp, like,
getting his weapons ready,
chewing sour leaf and sharpening his tools.
What do you think CR would do with
weapons? That's what I meant.
What do you think CR would do with sour leaf? How does it compare to the Zin?
I think now that we're on camera, he cannot go around with red stained teeth all the time. That's what I think.
liked seeing the sour leaf on Leo Longthorn's mouth because, like everything else, it gave me cause to think about Bennis. Coming in season 2. Bennis of the Brown Shield, big sour leaf guy.
Do you feel like this sour leaf seed was planted here so that we can spend so much more time with sour leaf in season 2? Okay.
Exactly. Anything else on the opening there?
No. Great. Just took us an hour to get through. And
there was a lot there. It was like 2 minutes of the episode. I had like 18 pages of notes. I think I actually had 6. Very normal. Love the show. Egg has some counsel for Dunk. He's got some ideas. And he's just here to workshop them. He opens, though, with a, I think, fair and reasonable question, given what he has witnessed. Was he a shit knight?
Was he a shit knight? Will there be boobs?
Can't have been a very good one. Will there be boobs? We're going to get to that Tales Grow in the Telling idea from Baelor, but it is interesting to think about the shape of your legacy or your impact or your hold on memory absent the kind of life that leads to tales grow in the telling. It doesn't mean that you didn't do anything of consequence, but how do people think about that or feel about that? The fact that Dunk has to defend Ser Arlan is such an affront when he did watch him do all of these things. But of course, Egg is like, I love when he said you have to suffer your master dying over and over again. He calls it undignified.
Well, it's undignified, but he's like, I would not leave you, sir.
Yeah,
like, it's just very
it's sad.
It's very sweet and empathetic. Like, it's very like he's being saucy and
Always,
and snarky and all the things that he is, but he's just like he has empathy, real empathy.
To be alone when you're the only one with your memories and you just have to keep repeating this horrible
I would not
thing.
leave you, sir.
What did you think of his counsel to Dunk? You are a knight of the realm, sir. You can say fuck their permission, ride into the list, call out Longthorn Tyrell, and turn his asshole
Spicy
into a lance hole.
Very spicy.
What does it mean to be a knight? Does being a knight mean you don't have to ask for permission, just do what you want?
Well, it made me think about when Dunk was talking to Lionel Baratheon last week, and he's like, the stakes are different for me than they are for other people.
Yeah.
Some people have this worldview because they come from money and comfort and privilege, and they can like sort of think themselves better than other people or whatever the case may be. I've got everything. I'm selling my horse to buy some armor. Yeah. Don't worry, I do have some coppers for the puppet girl, but other than that, I am pinching all the pennies just to be here. Yeah. The stakes are different for me. No chance, no choice, you know?
Yeah.
So it just depends on your worldview.
It does. Why do you treat these royal lapdogs like they're your betters? This is something else that Egg says to Dunk. And it's interesting to think about whether an idea like that can actually take root with someone like Dunk. Dunk of Flea Bottom, right? An orphan from Flea Bottom, squire to a hedge knight, nothing to his name, who looks at these lords and these royals as figures of heft and consequence, famous names. So what is required? These words from Egg.
Yeah.
Other happenings in the story for Dunk to say, I belong here. You know, the moment at the end when he's watching the joust and he flashes to Ser Arlan, the gap between Arlan and Dunk's experience and the big league all-star boys who are out there on the tourney field, it's even though Dunk understands rationally what he is seeking to do here, it is like a shock to the system to confront in real time the arena that he has entered.
Yeah.
So I like that he hears this from Egg, and it's interesting to think about what his journey to embracing that might actually be.
We talked a lot about this idea of upward mobility. We'll talk about it when we get to the Kingsguard that he meets and stuff like that. But like this idea of knighthood, hedge knighthood, tourneys, the Kingsguard itself, when you think about Kristen Cole, as an opportunity for upward mobility.
Yes. Yeah.
Inside of a class system that is usually very rigid.
Yes. You know, we've seen that there's so much about Dunk that is like superior, better, morally, ethically, in terms of his spirit, his disposition. Can he embrace that in full? The Targs are here.
Okay. Can I talk about this for a second? Right?
Yeah.
So they come in, the banners are flying.
Yeah.
Both you and I and George R. R. Martin are very happy that there are feet on the sigil, et cetera, et cetera.
How much of George's embrace of this show is specifically about the updated Targ sigil on banners with the proper number of feet?
Can't you see the banners, you giant cunt, is a great line.
It's incredible.
Well, okay, but think about this. Like, they come in, trumpets, banners, pomp and circumstance, Aerion Targaryen being as imperious as he could possibly be. How sad is this compared to any dragon, let alone Caraxes landing when Daemon shows up somewhere? Like, previously,
you're not asking who it is then.
When the Targaryens showed up, they showed up on giant flying beasts, and you were like, oh shit, Caraxes is here. Oh no, Vhagar's here. We had to park Vhagar over in the forest because we can't even fit him on the tourney grounds. And those Targaryens are not coming to this goddamn tourney because it's way, way, way beneath them. You know, but just like seeing those banners fly, it's just like such a sad, visual echo representation of what they used to be, which was, these mythic people, mythic godlike people showing up on these winged beasts. And now they're like, we've got banners. They've still got dragons on them.
Yeah, there's a dragon right there. Can you see it? With the right number of legs. That's a great shout. I obviously the retinue is larger. The procession is bigger. There are more attendants and people. And we'll hear like the master of horse bitch later about like, how am I going to find room for all of these horses? But yeah, they are no longer in the era of the undeniable presence that defined their dynasty. It's a great show.
One of our listeners in the comments for Talk the Throne said Targaryens in their flop era, which I just like really love.
Oh man. The good news is that while there is no dragon to spot, whether or not you saw and identified the banners, you get a handy aid here.
We love a herald.
Little assist from the Ashford Herald. This was so iconic that we had to revisit it in real time. Carlos, can we see this clip?
Our Lord of Ashford humbly welcomes the great and honourable Baelor Targaryen, firstborn son of King Darren the Good, Prince of Dragonstone, hand of the king, and heir to the Iron Throne. And his brother, Maekar.
Incredible.
Okay.
Incredible.
And Maekar is also here is really funny, but also his pronunciation of Maekar is like truly psychotic.
It threw me.
Maekar.
There's some wild pronunciations.
And his brother, Maekar.
In this episode. Just some great spare, not the air energy in this intro. We later in the Great Hall scene that we're going to go through in great detail, we get that line from Maekar about how father bade us attend this miserable circus. We've been talking about this from the beginning. The fact that, as you just said, this is not the place that the Targs of old would have bothered to be.
Do you feel like this little and his brother Faramir is also here?
Well, does that mean that you might one day be making a mead named after Maekar?
Meadcar?
Give it a go. It sounds delicious.
I would make it.
It's a little spicy, a little sassy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
A little peppery.
Mm-hmm. Little peppery. I like it. Anything else that you want to add here? This post-Blackfire Rebellion, no dragon stretch for the Targs and the things that they are compelled to do in order to remain present, visible, and of consequence in Westerosi history?
Well, I do think it's interesting that Maekar, fourth son, he doesn't look like the youngest son, but he is the youngest son. Sam Spruill, happy to have him here.
Oh, man,
we love
great.
Sam Spruill. We've spent a lot of time with him in Fargo, Doctor Who. Some of us go way back with him on some other less advised projects, but he's great and so glad that he's here. And that's a reference to Bastard Executioner, a show that I watched in full, even though it was really terrible. Sorry, FX, I love you, but that show sucked. Anyway, but the fact that his son's that Darren is missing, and he's like, my older brother, everyone likes him better than me. Everyone thinks he's better than me. And his eldest son is here riding in the tourney.
In his shiny armor.
And my son is just fucking missing.
Gotta send the Kingsguard to go look for him. Mm-hmm. Tough. Egg asks to excuse himself back to camp. He's like, maybe there's some thieves about. I should go check in. And Dunk says, okay, go do that because I've got a plan. I've got an idea. Which, given the context of what unfolds in the episode, certainly seems to be deliberately, now that he has seen them arrive, heard them arrive, and introduced, seeking out Baelor Breakspear.
And this is a wild textual departure.
You knew, Arlan. So what do you make of this? Because in the novella,
I actually don't like it.
Okay. We'll set the stage. So in the novella, basically, Dunk is like, I gotta go find Plumber again.
Mm-hmm.
Makes his way into the room.
I guess I go back and say, hey, man, all those nights are dead.
They all suck. And they've got some nasty sour leaf
plan
habits.
B, Plumber?
And he finds Plumber in a conversation with some other men and does not know who they are. And he's like, deducing
who are these guys in black and red? I don't know. And makes a bunch of blunders in front of them because he doesn't know that they're the princes.
Quite a few. It came to Dunk that he had walked in on something that he ought never have heard. Why don't you like this? It's a more active move from Dunk, right?
Because it's just not who Dunk is.
Yeah.
He's not a planner. He's not thinking ahead. He's not thinking strategically, and he's not thinking audaciously, which is like, I'm just going to go put myself in front of the heir to the throne.
Right. It's to a degree too bold at this point for Dunk.
I'm not mad about it, but I just think it's like an uncharacteristic difference.
I really love in the novella Dunk happening upon a circumstance, and especially because it really heightens this idea of like, I have wandered into a thing that I do not understand in a place that I do not belong and have to in real time kind of figure out how to navigate that circumstance.
Also, I mean, I guess he does it in the book anyway, but I'm just like, where's the security?
Well, dude,
the
that
heir to
is
the throne.
wild.
Like
we love I've wandered through a passage, and I think it is very funny that he basically overhears a couple of the women at Ashford say, like, these fucking princes need to wash their hands. And then,
From
we do
holding
see Baelor
reins, I guess.
do the hand wash bowl. But, we love a trip through a tunnel or a passageway.
Yeah, your hero's blood and cheese.
Where exactly? Blood and I stand by it. Too tame. Blood and cheese was too tame. I stand by the take. We all stand by the take. He should not be able to just wander into that room. That's worrying.
It's very, very perturbing.
Sir Arlan really needed to take a shit, so
there still is the same vibe here.
Busy.
But there's still the same vibe in the show, especially like finding himself drinking with Lionel Baratheon or whatever.
Yes.
There's a way in which Dunk is like the Forrest Gump of Westeros, where he's just like right place, right time in these moments of history. And here I am. Yeah. And who am I? Oh, I'm talking to Baelor Breakspear and Lionel Baratheon. Like, no big. It's fine. So
I thought you meant couldn't wait to touch Jenny's boobs.
Well, that'd be
But then immediately. All right. So I said I would stop talking about dicks.
And
so
you were wrong.
So I will. The show is slightly recalibrating Dunk's activeness and putting himself in those situations. Obviously, Raymond brought him into the tent with Lionel, but then Dunk stayed and made a night of it, etc. Which, is it's distinct. He meets Aerion Brightflame here. He's pulled out of watching this arrival by some of the very snide superior lines that we had heard in the trailers. Boy, stop gaping, seat of my horse. Not clever enough. Knighthood has fallen on sad days. Finn Bennett is here as the Bright Prince, Aerion. This is the stretch in the novella where we get the line that I've quoted a few times. He felt ill at ease enough around the lords and their pavilions. He had no business speaking to princes. That's part of what makes, as we were just saying, the I am going to go appeal directly to the second most senior and important and powerful man in the kingdoms.
Right.
A little bit of a stretch for Dunk at this point, but the discomfort that he feels in this moment, navigating this real-time exchange with Aerion, is significant for Dunk. Would you like to quickly take us to Wig Watch TM with Joanna Robinson TM Corner on the short-haired Targaryen that we're seeing?
I'd be thrilled because this is a wig. And it
looks great.
Fantastic
it looks
wig.
Great.
If you told me that Finn Bennett had like fried his hair white blonde, I would have believed you. But this is a wig, and he is posted about it, and I'm just like, I'm really impressed.
Excellent.
It's really, really good. Also, the way that they frame, I feel like they made Finn Bennett like stand in a hole or something like that, because he's not like a short dude. He's like about 6 foot, maybe a little under.
It's the opposite of the Kit Harington Jon Snow apple cart for the Sons. He's like, we were gonna just dig a little
negative apple box
like
sort of situation, but he's looking up to look down, as the Kingsguard will mention later. But yeah, they just like, he shows up on his horse. He's so tall. He's so proud. And then he hops down and he's just like looking up at Dunk.
It's great.
It's pretty great.
Great stuff. We don't get a lot of Aerion in this episode. If you've seen any
but what a great impression.
It's a great impression. If you've seen any of the trailers for the season, he's going to make his presence felt. He is going to be a figure in this story. This is Maekar's Maekar. I can't even say it the way that Maekar the Herald said it, and I frankly won't attempt to again.
He said it like meerkat, but like ka, Maekar.
So Aerion is Maekar's second son. He's got 4 sons. Some daughters too. Do they bear mentioning? Do
they have names?
How happy were you when Lord Ashford's daughter got a name?
Gwyn. Yeah.
Gwyn.
Spelled very specially.
Not Gwen. Gwyn. Great stuff. So Aerion is like a little visually toned down for the show compared to how he is described in the books. He still looks great. He's definitely like rocking the Targ colors. There's the pop of red with the black. Obviously, he's got the signature platinum hair. But in the book, he is described as very dragon forward in his visual identity. This guy loves merch and he loves to brand himself, right? The speaker wore a black cloak bordered in scarlet satin, but underneath was raiment bright as flame, all reds and yellows and golds. And then his elsewhere, his shield is described. Aerion bore a 3-headed dragon on his shield, but it was rendered in colors much more vivid than Valar's. One head was orange, one yellow, one red. And the flames they breathed had the sheen of gold leaf. This guy is like, I know that every time you do a slight tweak, you break out an alternate jersey. More people buy it. More people buy it. They love the alternate jerseys. Aerion, we'll talk about him more in future weeks.
We sure will. I'll get back to it, but I do want to talk about sort of like how dragony are these targs as we get into Baelor and Maekar.
Before Dunk makes his way to meet Baelor and Maekar, he has a moment with a horse and then a moment with the Kingsguard. One of them is very hot. So let's talk about this great scene.
So like the screenwriting shorthand for like you care about this character is have the character save the cat moment.
Yes.
Right? Have the character do something that is just automatically endearing so that people will care about that person. Save the horse.
I mean, it's great.
We will get some comments from one of our listeners a little bit later about how he went about doing it, but very endearing.
Incredibly sweet.
Aerion doesn't give a shit about his horse. He's like, I'm not a stable boy, but like no one's taking care of this horse, so I will.
Yeah, exactly. Not a stable boy, also not here to get you your wine or your wench.
And the Kingsguard are here to shit talk Targaryens.
That horse did kick an actual stable boy right in the face. Right in the face. Right in the face. I like that we've talked a lot about how Dunk is speaking to Sweetfoot, speaking to his horses across these 2 episodes. And this horse we just met, he speaks to as well. He's like, I agree. You know, there are far too many people who are like, I'm nervous too. I'm anxious too. It was so winning. Yeah. Just lovely. Absolutely lovely. Then we get the kind of comments from the side. You know, we hear it before we see who the speakers are. Jokes about the pretty ones. And then, he meant the princeling, not the palfrey. On the subject of pretty ones, Sir Roland of Crickhall has entered the chat. Sir Donald of Duskendale is also here. And then Sir Willem Wild is in
his brother.
In the back.
Willem Wild.
And his sworn brother, Willem. He's also here. He'll call Donald off later.
Okay, so these guys.
Oh, man. Yeah, Sir
who
Roland.
all look like, so they're all, you mentioned how hot you think Roland is. You've mentioned it several times to me. You mentioned on Talk of the Thrones. We're back around.
You look great. Yeah.
But both Roland and Donald look like they're cut from like the same sort of like prototype, right? Which is just sort of like very handsome, neatly trimmed beard, very like young Barristan Selmy or like, you know, slightly older
chiseled.
Jamie. There's just like this we are Kingsguard. We're handsome.
Yep.
We're groomed.
We're the ideal.
Our armor is so white. This is the whitest Kingsguard armor we've seen.
I love this very canonically
and it's very canonically accurate.
Armor.
And when you think about the Kingsguard and you think about the Night's Watch, they're like 2 sides of the same coin, right? Like we will father no children. We will own no lands. We will know no women.
Some of us will fuck our sisters. We will. Sorry.
And father some children that will sit on the throne, but don't worry about it. But
so many vows, Joe, they make you swear and swear.
Allegedly, the Night's Watch and the Kingsguard are sort of taking similar vows.
Yes. Yeah.
The white and the black. Like this is sort of like what it's supposed to be. And so like this gleaming white, pure,
right.
It's bullshit. But
exactly. We loved the moment in House of the Dragon season 2 when they were talking about the white cloak and how then soiled and sullied it was. And so when I said a couple minutes ago, as you're describing how handsome and chiseled they are, the ideal, it's like, well, what have you been taught the ideal is supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like? But then what is the reality behind that? This thing we keep talking about that George loves to explore so much.
I mean, they're beautiful. And they're also talking about where do we go take a shit?
Yeah. And you know who else is hot? Like Kristen Cole looks great. How's he doing on the knightly valor front? Who was most top of mind for you on the Kingsguard front? Eric and Eric? Yep.
I'm literally never thinking about Eric and Eric.
Association? No?
I do always think about Sir Barristan Selmy. That to me is like the
Jamie
actual
Brienne,
Kingsguard.
obviously for us is like, top of the list. I loved that Chris broke out not He did not get the name correct, and that's okay. But I love that he went to Arthur Dane.
Were you thinking
that was great?
Were you thinking Sword of the Morning when
Wonderful.
you saw Ser Arlan step out and you're like, talk about Sword of the Morning? Yeah.
See, you give me grief, and yet you do it too. And look how proud you are of yourself right now. And guess what? You should be.
But that's for you. It's a gift for you. I wouldn't do it if you weren't here. You would do it if I wasn't here.
You're
would
right.
just,
I sit
you would
alone
just
making
sit
dick
alone
jokes.
in the microphone
Absolutely true.
and just go.
I would. That Sword of the Morning was excellent. Excellent work. Great job. There's no greater symbol of knightly valor to Dunk than the Kingsguard, right? This is the thing you strive for. Right, for anyone, and especially for Dunk, who's like, I'm a squire, I'm going to be a knight, I'm a knight, I'm here, I'm at the tourney, I'm going to enter my name in the list. Holy shit, the Kingsguard are here. Oh my God, I'm in a conversation with members of the Kingsguard. The 7 champions of the Kingsguard were the most puissant warriors in all the 7 kingdoms, saving only perhaps the crown prince Baelor Breakspear himself.
And his brother, Maekar.
Who's also here. So again, what makes a knight a knight, right? Is it that you reached a certain...
Is it how gleaming white your armor is?
Yeah. Is it the sheen of your armor?
Is it that your crab daddy bought you a gig in the, on the Kingsguard?
Was it you or Chris who called him a Nepo baby on Talk the Thrones?
I think Chris.
That was excellent.
That sounds like a CR.
What makes a knight a knight? Marin Trant was in the Kingsguard, right? Mandon Moore. Was he a true fucking knight? I've got a beloved character who would argue otherwise. So there are the Kingsguards and the Queensguard, of course, across our stories. It's a fascinating group through which we can parse and assess these ideas. But it is also like the company Dunk is keeping at Ashford here.
For history, we should say, Kristen Cole besmirches the Kingsguard with his actions. The Kingsguard right now are like pretty good guys. Like they're doing their job. Like there's no scandal rocking the Kingsguard right now.
Yes.
Their armor's gleaming. They just need to know where to shit. They're talking a little shit on the Targs. They're being pretty nice to Duncan.
Yes,
like
very welcoming.
These are like pretty good dudes.
I agree. Would you on the taking a shit front, like the hay, I guess needs a must, but no extra cloth, like a bolt of cloth sitting around, take a banner.
Who's washing that cloth?
Do they care?
Do they, the Kingsguard, care?
They don't care. They don't care. I didn't really get a kick out of Dunn being like, he'll Dane before the week is out. Oh, man.
I just don't think
Diarrhea Dunk. Diarrhea Dunk. So Roland, just follow the poop robin and you'll find a great place to shit.
I just don't think that hay is where I would go to. I don't think hay is where I would go to first.
Yeah, it just seems.
You don't want poison oak, but there are other there are other leaves around that one could use, is what I'm saying.
Such as?
No, elm leaves, probably. Not oak leaves, they're pokey, but that there are like...
Yeah, hay sounds very pokey too. Harsh.
Hay sounds awful.
No, not a fan. You mentioned that these are kind of chill, welcoming dudes, and I really loved this. We're going to talk when we get to Baelor about how one of the most winning things about that scene, it's not just that he remembers Arlan, but he's like, calling Dunk sir and telling him to rise. And he's not like, Lord Ashford is the one who's like, do you have anything written down? Not Baelor Breakspear, right? He's like, okay, here you are, a knight among me.
Because Lord Ashford's power is insecure.
Exactly.
And Baelor's like, I know who I am.
Sir Roland and Sir Donald are very hospitable, very welcoming. They're like, well met, Sir Duncan.
Roland a little less so.
Well, he's the bowels are stirring. He has pressing business. Matters to the hedge, indeed. Okay. We've been tracking these moments where we can just see the show finds a way to tell us how genuinely, uniquely gigantic Dunk is, right? The bop in the head on the door frame, etc. So Roland, who is supposed to be not only a handsome man, but a man of physical might.
Puissant, one might say.
Puissant. God's boy, do you ride your horse into battle or does it ride you? Like, this is just, Dunk's huge. Great stuff. Donald.
I think we should make a supercut at some point of everyone giving Dunk elevator eyes, because they all do. They're all like, just, Jesus Christ.
Donald asks where Dunk is from. No place really. I know it. My family's from there. So he's like, oh, you're not a Darkland? Shout out Stefan Darkland. He's a crabber's son. Prince Drea! Drea! We talked about Davos.
I didn't miss it.
Talk the
I love
Thrones.
you.
Drea! I just love that stretch with David. It's so funny. We will learn later, and Dunk will learn later from Egg, fishing enthusiast. You know, a lot of ocean facts, a lot of fish facts on from young Egg.
So my nephews, they know a lot of fish facts.
Is that so?
Yeah.
And did they also know that? Yeah, sure. Sir Donald is the son of a crabber, but his father is a crabbing tycoon.
They would have known that.
He's
for
a
sure.
mogul.
They're from San Francisco. They know their way around a crab.
He encourages Dunk nonetheless, right? Donald says, same way we became crabbers.
I mean, money.
A little riddle. Yeah. Money, access. And like, that's just one more thing Dunk doesn't have, right? It's another way, whether it's your famous name or the power of your house or money, that's people have access to opportunity in a way that Dunk does not. But despite the coded language of the riddle here, he's not like, get the fuck out of my sight. He's curious. He's interested.
He's offering him hope, but it's bullshit hope.
I got
you too can do this. Do you have piles of money?
Yeah. Is your daddy rich? Is your daddy rich? I got a kick out of the guy who, we had seen this in the trailer and it made me laugh then too, but the guy who comes up with the horse.
Are you playing Baelor Targaryen?
No, would you move the fuck out of the way?
Fuck out of the way.
I liked the randos in this episode. I liked this guy. I liked the can't you see the banners, you dumb cunt guy. I liked the guy at the tourney who shouted Lord Ashford fucks his sheep. You could see Maekar chuckle a little bit at that.
Everyone had like a pretty jolly reaction to that.
Like, I wonder.
Lord Ashford looked a little uncomfortable, but everyone else was like, but it wasn't like, there are some Targaryens who would be like, kill him.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Not these
and
guys.
Aerion looked a little like kill him. But Maekar and Baelor were like, that was pretty funny.
You think this guy's ever been to the Vale? You think that's why he's ready to make jokes about fucking your sheep?
I know you never fucked a bear.
Real Damon coded. Let's talk more about Baelor and Maekar, who is also here. It's time for Dunk to make his pitch. I thought this scene ruled. This is one of my favorite stretches in any of the Dunk and Egg novellas. This scene in the Hedge
Baelor's
Knight.
introduction is incredible.
Yeah. And it really, the scene in the TV show met and exceeded my already very high expectations. I thought this was just lovely. We're going to kind of set the stage here. Then we're going to just talk a little bit more on the canon front about who these guys are. And then we're going to talk about why this scene worked and what it meant to us. Darren has done this before, we hear. Dunk has made his way in. He's listening. He's entered. He's eavesdropping into this conversation about how 2 of Maekar's sons are missing. Darren has done this before, Baelor says. You should not have commanded him to enter the list. And then later we hear, no doubt Sir Roland will turn him up and Aegon along with him.
So Darren and Aegon are missing.
Yes. We see...
and Lady Gwyn's like, maybe they're dead in a dish somewhere.
Real shit stirrer.
She loves a true crime podcast.
Yes. She's watched every season of Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah. She's big Nancy Grace head. Like she's dialed in.
That move she made with Dunk.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me at first like she was kind of like flirting a little, but then she's really like talking her shit. I'm the queen of love and beauty. This is my name day tourney, and they gave me a fucking name.
That's the other thing is like, and he says this in the book.
Yes.
But he's like, Lord Ashford's daughter, who doesn't have a name.
Not so fair. I prefer the puppet girl.
Right. It's a little weirder if like a grown man were to say that about a 13-year-old girl.
Yes.
So we're like, the ages are different in the book.
Yes.
But I like that like she's the queen. I like this like immaturity of her because like she's the queen of love and beauty. She is the reigning paragon of womanhood at this tourney. And she's just a 13-year-old girl who wants to goss. She wants to gossip. She wants to talk some shit. She's like, you're no use to me. You're not willing to talk shit. This is terrible, and leaves. And so like, you know, the ideal versus the reality. What's the reality? It's just a 13-year-old girl who's like, did you hear that the princes are missing? And maybe they're dead in a ditch somewhere. Wars have been started for less.
What a gossip. I love that. And that her birthday is her father's excuse for holding this tournament and bringing all of these powerful lords into his backyard to make him feel powerful and important.
If you were to take one image of one woman in this episode, maybe it's the bare ass of the woman who has just enjoyed herself with Ser Arlan in the cottage, and I really do hope she enjoyed herself. But I think it's Tansel as Jonquil, like high above everyone. Like that is real queen of love and beauty shit right there.
Not
like
too tall.
For puppets.
For puppets. Incredible. Incredible stuff. My Queen of Love and Beauty. It's Red, Bayani, and Daisy for me. Missed him this up.
Oh.
Missed him.
I thought you were going to say it was the horse.
I mean, obviously.
Sweetfoot is
You
your
know,
Queen of Love and Beauty.
you know how I feel about darling Sweetfoot. We can see right away. Baelor, composed, proper, understands how to conduct himself with a certain level of decorum and graciousness. Maekar, pretty rude.
Mika?
And Maekar, do not curse our gracious host. Baelor says, I said fuck me, not fuck him. It's just the brotherly energy, the inferiority complex from Maekar as the fourth son of King Darren II. So the family tree, Baelor is the eldest son of the king.
King Darren II, eldest son Baelor, hand of the king, heir to the throne.
Prince of Dragonstone. Aerys Rhaegal.
Maekar.
Prince Aerys was bookish and Prince Rhaegal mad, meek, and sickly. Neither was like to cross half the realm to attend a tourney.
Prince Rhaegal
Tough.
would prance about naked in the castle. So
Yeah.
we're not saying mad lightly. We're saying we're the level of mad. What level of mad are we? We are prance about naked, which is better than burn them all mad. To
For
be
sure.
clear, you
Yeah.
know, if you're going gradations of mad, I would prefer prance about naked to burn them all. But
Maybe he just had a giant dick like Ser Arlan and he wanted everyone to see it.
well, maybe they would praise him rather than just say Prince Rhaegal, he's mad. Prince Aerys, obsessed with his books. Does he know something about the prophecy?
How can it not be on our minds? Cat's Paw coming up in a second here. Stay tuned.
I can't wait. I love
Here-
talking about the cat's paw.
It's the same. Here is a passage from the novella about just this chunk of the family tree in this period of Targaryen history. King Darren the Good had 4 grown sons. We just told you who they were. 3 with sons of their own. The line of the Dragon Kings had almost died out during his father's day, but it was commonly said that Darren II and his sons had left it secure for all time.
They hadn't.
It's a Game of Thrones story.
It's King Robert Baratheon, not King Robert Targaryen.
Bobby B hit him with the
also-
hammer.
Also, actually,
Yeah.
it's a problem when there are too many Targaryens running around, as we are currently experiencing
Always
in
a
our
fucking fiasco.
House of the Dragon experience.
Yes.
You might have overshot a little, King Darren. Maybe he had like 1 good son and then 2 bad ones. And then he was like, gotta keep trying. And then he's like, all right,
Yeah.
Maekar, 2,
Yeah.
that'll do.
And Darren II had absolutely no experience with what happened when there were too many siblings and bastard siblings in the mix. He definitely didn't fight as the Red Dragon in the Blackfire Rebellion.
I mean, it's weird to say.
Oh, the Targs! They love a civil war.
It's weird to say the line of the Dragon Kings had almost died out during. Does this feel like a contradiction from George to you?
Well, as you've noted, George crafted the Hedge Knight
Yeah.
novella
Before
fleshing out
coming up with the Blackfire Rebellion.
the rest of the canon
Yeah.
in this period of history. And as we've noted a few times, we're basically Blackfire is like a decade and a half before the events of this novella. So recent enough history that it casts a shadow over everything still,
Right.
but it wasn't yesterday, 13 years.
Right.
Yeah, George had some lore
contradictions.
to build out. So Baelor has 2 sons, Valar, who we'll meet in this episode, and Materys. Maekar has 4, as mentioned.
Don't worry about Materys.
That's a solid name. I like that name. Valar's a good name too.
Valar 2 R's at the end, just in case you were wondering
it's
how to
George,
spell it.
of
Valar. Okay.
That's a great George spelling.
on the sort of like Gwyn
Yes.
and Lady Gwyn and Dunk sort of poking and sneaking around.
Yeah.
I think this idea of like who can go where is interesting,
Mhm.
right? Like where can servants go? Where this is something that George is so preoccupied in House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Right? Like who could be my source on this?
Right.
Mushroom the
Mushroom,
Fool,
sure, yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
servants, et cetera, who's sneaking and creeping and in the room, but nobody noticed them,
Yeah.
right? So what is Dunk here? What is Gwyn here? Where do whores go?
Right.
As George is
Yeah.
wont to wonder, but like who can sort of permeate the ranks of society in this way? I think is really interesting.
Yeah. I love this. Gwyn.
She's not allowed in the room. She's just a girl, but she can listen.
And so can Dunk.
Mhm.
boy, does he hear quite a bit. So who is in this scene? Who are we talking? Obviously, Lord Ashford is there. Plummer is there, and his facial expressions are quite memorable. Baelor and Maekar. Let's talk just a little bit more about who these fellas are and what their stature and standing in the realm is before we talk about a little bit of what Baelor and Dunk share. So Birdie Carvel is here playing Baelor. What a thrill. Baelor, as I've said, one of my favorite characters in the canon. Just a delight to have him on the screen. Name stuff, go. This is all going to be presented as which stuff go. Name stuff, go. Baelor Breakspear. Breakspear, as you explained on Talk the Thrones. Sick moniker, one of my favorites.
It's really good.
Is it the Laughing Storm? No, but what is? But Breakspear is awesome. And he got it from unhorsing at the age of 17 at his Aunt Daenerys' wedding tourney, another tourney. Daemon Blackfire, have you heard of him? Lots.
People haven't heard of him yet, but they will. Daemon Blackfire is a big deal. So to have the Blackfire Rebellion.
Yeah.
Daemon Blackfire. Most people named Daemon are people you want to pay attention to in this world.
It's a great name.
And Daemon Blackfire is a big fucking deal. And 17-year-old Baelor Breakspear was like, fuck you, dude.
And it stuck.
Yeah.
And that name stuck, and it should have. He is also referred to as the Hammer in The Hammer and the Anvil, a song in lore that lives in lore, a song about the two brothers here. Maekar is the Anvil. We'll talk about him more in a minute. We are fittingly talking about Baelor first. The Hammer, Blackfire Rebellion. Redgrass Field, as you described on Talk the Thrones, this move where Baelor's forces are the hammer, leading the enemy, the foe, crunch into the wall of Maekar's forces, the Anvil. And a century later, in the events of A Song of Ice and Fire of Game of Thrones, Barristan Selmy, who you just said is like the knight who pops into your mind first when we think about what makes a knight, the Kingsguard. He talks about this still a century later because it lives in legend. It lives in lore. Tales grow in the telling, but also
it helps if you make a song about it.
It really does.
Catchy.
It helps if you make a song about it. His actual name, Baelor. Thrones fans, of course, have heard the name Baelor before. It is the name of one of the most famous Game of Thrones episodes ever, season 1, episode 9, The Great Sept of Baelor. The Great Sept of Baelor is not, this guy is named for the guy the Sept was named for. So Baelor the First, Baelor the Blessed, a prior Targaryen king. The Sept was named for him. That episode is named Baelor because it's obviously taking place at that Sept in a key moment. So Baelor Breakspear, this Baelor who's here, is named for that Baelor. That's name stuff go. Now it's time for hair stuff go. Joanna, I'm not sure if you noticed, this guy does not have silver hair.
Close, cropped, dark hair.
I love it. We love a dark-haired Targ. Spoilers, Jon Snow.
Wow, what if you actually just spoiled someone on Jon Snow's identity?
I mean, I guess it's possible, but I also feel that
it happened in this like really creepy whisper thing that you just
listen,
did.
We talk about the entire canon. That's what we do here on House of R. Darren II brought Dorne into the fold. As we've mentioned, this was a massive moment and a consequential moment in Westerosi history. Part of cementing that is marrying into the Martell family, right?
7 kingdoms.
So Baelor's mother is a Martell. This is how he's got dark hair. So he's got no dragons. None of them have dragons as a symbol of power because the dragons are gone. But Baelor also doesn't have the signature iconic, I see it. You see Arion's head. You know he is a Targaryen.
Even Maekar has the silver hair. I mean, it looks like he has like white hair. It looks like he's older, but he's actually younger. That's Targaryen silver hair.
Yes.
Aryon silver hair. Even Valar, who has dark hair, has at least a little silver patch on the back of his hair.
Yeah.
It's very Kai Grady. I don't know if you, that's what Kai's hair looks like.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Shout out Kai. Baelor does in the show get just the black and red Targ colors. He's wearing different colors in the book, but still, he's more understated. He is not nearly as flashy.
This is what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Both Maekar and Baelor are, as described in the books, Baelor more than Maekar, just like fairly understated. Like they're wearing black and red, and Baelor has the hand of the kingpin on.
Yes.
And he's got this cool like sort of like dragon tail almost thing that sort of wraps around him.
Yeah.
But like unlike some Targs we've seen, we don't have like dragons stitched into sort of every thing. And then like also compare it to the apples on the breastplates of the Fossaways or the suns all over Lady Gwyn's dress, or like not to mention the antlers everywhere for Lionel. I mean, when we get to the tourney, of course, the part of the reason they're so ostentatiously dressed in their sigil markings at the tourney is so that we, especially at night, can track who the fuck they are out there. But like previous Targs that we've seen have been very dragon forward in their fashion, and these Targs aren't.
Yes, which is interesting because that would have been like one of the ways to compensate for the absence of.
Maybe it just seems too try hard.
The literal thing. Yeah, it
I'm
might.
the dragon, actually.
Yeah, maybe so. He dressed far more simply than most of the other lords. This is about Baelor. He does not look a Targaryen in truth with that dark hair. Dunk said as much to Egg. It said he favored his mother. The boy reminded him she was a Dornish princess. There's a line in The World of Ice and Fire about how, okay, so like, yeah, just like an everyman, one of the dudes, one of the guys, cool, great, winning, charming, love it. That's not how everybody felt about it. From The World of Ice and Fire, yet too many men looked upon Baelor's dark hair and eyes and muttered that he was more Martell than Targaryen, even though he proved a man who could win respect with ease and was as open-handed and as just as his father. So again, in the shadow of the Blackfire Rebellion, the wake of that civil war, anything, your absence of a dragon, the absence of the silver hair,
do you think
what blade did somebody hand you?
Try to bleach his hair?
No, I love this. I love that he's confident. He's like, this is who I am. You either fuck with me or you don't. But there will be people in the realm who use that as an excuse to say, why am I supposed to think that you're more goddamn Targaryen again? So it's just an interesting aspect of kind of where he finds himself. I love the description on the like less flashy front of just this quiet confidence. Mm-hmm. Though he was dressed very plainly in green doublet, brown mantle, and scuffed boots, there was a weight to him, a sense of power and certainty. And you can really feel that. I think that was conveyed really wonderfully in this scene. Just how comfortable he is in his own skin, right?
There's a couple things, like the way he like looks up from like eating is
the constant snacking
is really good.
Wonderful.
But I think we also our listener Matt wrote in with this email. Matt wrote, I want to shout out my favorite line from this episode, quote, "We are the intruders here, brother."
Yes.
From Baelor when Dunk comes to plead his case. This just shows what a quality guy he is. I can't imagine any other Targaryen we have met across any other Game of Thrones property saying that encapsulates his character in one line. I love it. Mm-hmm. So like that's true, but also just sort of like there's a confidence, like we're the intruders here. Like I don't need to assert myself in every room. I don't need to be the most important person in this room. Yeah. I am.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've heard, but I unhorsed Daemon Blackfire.
I was 17.
I was 17. Don't worry about it.
It's fine. Sword stuff.
Go.
We get a couple very clear, very good, very lingering looks at Baelor Breakspear's sword belt, and we can see that he does not have the cat's paw dagger. Now, maybe Daddy Darren the Good has it, or maybe is it possible that Aegon IV, when he gave Blackfire to Daemon, sparking eventually the Blackfire Rebellion, did he give his great bastard?
So Blackfire being in the ancestral sword, which he gave to Daemon Blackfire because he's a bastard, but he's very hot. And he's like, you deserve a hot sword.
Yeah.
Did he give him the storied dagger?
What do you think? Blackfire, the sword, is canonically in Essos at this point in time. We don't know where the dagger is. As we've chronicled at length while covering House of the Dragon, the dagger's like function and role as this scroll of prophecy was introduced to us via House of the Dragon. So then now it has, you brought this up in the trailer when we first saw Baelor, like that's on our mind now is where is this across history? Whose hand is it in? When does the ruler...
I won't be too upset if we don't get the cat's paw in this show.
Yeah.
It feels overburdened. Yeah. And in a way that the show isn't, you know?
Totally fair. Maybe they're just like,
I'm not trying to like yuck your yum if you are on the lookout for it.
I like the idea that it maybe it's
already lost somewhere.
Yeah.
And on its way
maybe Darren the Good does not have it. Mm-hmm. That would be really interesting.
It might get lost before the end of House of the Dragon. Like, we don't know.
It's true. I can't wait to see what happens with it in Hot D, genuinely.
That is interesting to me, but I don't really need it messing with this show.
Yeah. You just need it to make its way back in time for
because
Game of
the
Thrones.
Targaryens are here and they're important.
Yes.
But they're not what this show is about.
That's right. But they are what this section of the pod is about.
True.
Maekar.
Mekas, Prince of Summerhall.
This performance was wonderful.
Great stuff. Sam Sproul.
He's married to a Dane. You love a Dane. We love a Dane. Baelor's married to a Dondarrion, as you've mentioned. Notably, that means they're not married to their own siblings, which is nice. Nice change. Just, we don't always get to praise the Targs, but shout out these guys for not marrying their relatives.
A low bar. They cleared it.
Joe, what's Maekar like as a warrior?
Listen, the Anvil, Maekar was said to be a redoubtable warrior in his own right, though ever in the shadow of his eldest brother.
It's tough. It's tough to like actually be good at things, but always be the second best. Like if he sucked, that would be one thing. But he's like, I'm pretty great too.
Here's Raymond Fossaway, right? Poor Maekar. Poor? Said Dunk, startled. The king's son? The king's fourth son, said Raymond. Not quite as bold as Prince Baelor, nor as clever as Prince Aerys, nor as gentle. What a great PR for Rhaegal. Nor as gentle as Prince Rhaegal, who likes to prance around naked, blah, blah, blah. And now he must suffer seeing his own son overshadowed by his brothers. Right?
Brutal. It did lead to a very amusing moment when he has to hear Dunk praise Baelor, and we get just such an excellent bit of performance. Carlos, can we see
so
this?
Good.
Sir Arlan often told me that you were the soul of chivalry, and that one day the 7 kingdoms would be safe in your hands.
I loved just his comedic impact. What the fuck is going on? The harumph when Dunk is invited in the first place. The whole like, how can you possibly remember some fucking hedge knight who chanced on Horse Daemon Lannister 16 years ago? Why would you deign to joust with the hedge knight? Okay, well, you're grateful now. Fuck off. Like all of it is just, you could really feel his plight, even though he is
Is plight the word we would use?
a prince of the realm.
Our listener Dan wanted to chime in on the naming front because, as you rightly pointed out when you were trying to explain to CR and Talk of the Thrones who the Darrens were, who the Baelors are, et cetera, I was going to make this point. Dan made it with far more examples than I put together, so I will defer to Dan's email. Dan wrote, I would like to defend George R. R. Martin's persistent repeating of Targaryen names. We must coddle Chris Ryan no longer. We all know how much George draws from world history as inspiration for his stories, also to ground his world building in realism. His use of repeating names is no different. Sure, it may make it confusing for a casual fan of this universe. It may be a bit of a nuisance for podcasting, but it must be applauded for how it echoes history in our own world. Let's do a quick sample of oft-repeated Regnal, maybe Regal, but Regnal is a new word I would learn. Dynastic names in history. France, Louis, 18 kings, including Louis the 17th, the uncrowned son of Louis the 16th, Charles 10, Philip 6, Henry 4. Those are French kings. England, Henry, 8 kings, Edward, 8, George, 6, William, 4. I always loved the interregnum in English history when it's like, my history teacher would go, I might get this one. James Charles James is how the prince works. And like this is the interregnum in there. Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire, personal fave. 11 Constantines, 8 Johns, 8 Michaels, 6 Alexioses, 4 Andronikos, 4 Romanos. Andronikos would be a great name to introduce to the realm, George. Yeah. Spain, 13 Alfonsos, 7 Ferdinands, 5 Philippes, and 4 Charleses. So,
Look. Is it historically accurate? Yeah. Do I actually genuinely, in truth, love it? Yeah. Not only because it is true to the spirit of the thing, but also because it allows us to have these moments where we say, why was this character named for this other character? Are they different from their namesake? Do they represent something about that person? At the end of the day, when House of the Dragon introduced the Aegon confusion moment, as a pivot point in the history of the realm, they opened the door for us to make fun of this. That's all.
It sounds like a Ryan Condal problem more than anything else, honestly.
Yeah. And we love Ryan,
and we support him. Okay.
Hot D season 3. Can't wait. I think it'll be good. So that's who the brothers are. Why is what we're seeing here from Baelor so winning? Not only for Dunk, but for us. There's the warmth. The smiles. I love the number of moments where he smiles as Dunk is saying something. There's the pride on display, the grace.
The way that Baelor is treating Dunk is like the way that Dunk treats horses, right?
Gentle.
He's just gentle.
Welcoming.
And he's nice.
Warm.
Yeah. And he's like, it's scary here. I know.
Let me provide some comfort.
Would you like a
safe
snack?
Haven.
An apple, some oats.
Yeah, I think that's what a wonderful comp. This is a huge deal. Like, Dunk is making this appeal to the heir to the Iron Throne, and Baelor Breakspear, who is the Hand of the King, the Prince of Dragonstone, a fabled warrior, has absolutely no reason to grant Dunk this audience, to treat him kindly, to remember who Ser Arlan is. But every single other person Dunk went to said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I don't really have time for you. And Baelor Breakspear remembered Ser Arlan, remembered his name, remembered facing him, remembered the specifics of their joust.
The rest of the Targaryens have set the bar in hell. All the other lords have set the bar in hell. And so Baelor, by merely looking up from his snacking for a second to be somewhat nice to someone.
He never shamed himself.
Is like, wow, we're like, wow.
I mean, listen.
A god among men.
It left an impression. I like the intimidation that Dunk feels in the novella, right? Kind of rightly, honestly. Dunk got to his feet wondering if he should keep his head down or if he was allowed to look a prince in the face. That's the headspace he's in. Am I allowed to look this guy in the face, right? And then to be met with a welcome, with an embrace. When we talked about this on Sunday, but like, it's so striking that Dunk is surrounded by people, plumbers, like, you're going to have to find somebody who remembers who this guy is, who can vouch for you. Were there any witnesses to your knighting? Lord Ashford's like, do you have anything written down? And Baelor's just like, sir, rise. He's not asking questions. He runs this little like, layup
easy
of a quiz.
Peasy quiz.
Yeah, with the Daemon Lannister.
It's like you talk
Grey
to someone
Lion.
on the street and you're like, what are the Stark house words? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Can you get that one? Oh, you're an expert. You got it.
Yeah,
you
it's
got
like
this.
even Bill could get that. You know? So
Do you think Bill knows winter is coming?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I actually do.
How do you feel about the fact that as he's texting us, as he's watching Game of Thrones from his sauna, he keeps calling him Eddie Stark? How do you feel about that?
Good.
I feel good
less
about it.
good about him saying Theon Lovejoy instead of Greyjoy, but I feel good about Eddie Stark. Eddie Stark, I support.
Eddie Stark's pretty iconic.
Eddie Stark, I support. This is just a lovely scene. And, you know, when Dunk says at the end, like, I will fight bravely, you'll see, it's obviously a very sweet winning pledge from Dunk, but it's you kind of like understand why he would want Baelor to see that in him and believe that of him.
There's a few moments in this episode where he says something like, I will fight bravely, you'll see. I will do this, they'll see. We'll show them, blah, blah. And it's like he's talking himself into it, right? Yeah. And it's very much the like, no chance, no choice, right? Like,
yes,
that's the Brienne idea of just sort of like, I have to show them.
Right.
I will risk all.
I must risk all.
You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. And like George is telling this story for a reason. We can't get into all the details in the spoiler-free section, but like, this is a story worth telling for a reason.
Yes.
So this idea of you'll see what I can do, or you'll see why this story matters, is true. Dunk is speaking truth. This is the tourney at Ashford Meadow is a story that matters.
Yes, absolutely.
And you'll see.
I love too that, like you're saying, Dunk is kind of being his own hype man here and trying to convince himself that he can do this thing that he feels he must. But
do you have something I don't know how nervous you get about things. I've never seen you get like really nervous about something, but do you have like a pep talk that you use to talk yourself into something?
No, I do get nervous. Chris once described me before a live show. This
Human Valium.
Final season of Game of Thrones is Human Valium because I was so anxious. I made him calm just by being around him.
You used to get that like talking from the first season. The last season we did of Talk of Thrones on the inset stage, like you got really.
Yeah, I do get nervous. It keeps me like, kind of like getting
jittery.
Nervous. Like it keeps me frosty. It keeps me on edge. I think the day that I show up like complacent it's not a day I want actually. But no, I don't have like a go-to, like I don't have a creed or a mantra or anything I say to maybe I should.
Do you want to hear mine?
Yeah, absolutely.
When I'm about to do something that I find very scary and I don't want to do it,
I
tell myself, no matter what, this will be over. That's what I tell myself.
Get through it.
No matter what, at some point, and hopefully there's like hopefully there's an end point. I'm like, in an hour, this will be over. Or like, you just have to do whatever this is, and if it's scary for an hour, and then you'll be done.
And then you do it again the next day, or maybe later that same day. Busy weeks here lately.
Well, this isn't as scary anymore. We just pretend that there aren't like all these lights and cameras and people here, and we're just like talking in a room. It's the same as a Zoom call. Yeah.
So, those conversations in elegant rooms.
Yeah, you do it enough time that you don't have to pep talk yourself anymore.
Our version of Tyrion Lannister's life, though we don't have as much wine here. You did bring us mead once, though.
I mean,
it was great.
We could have wine here.
We could. It's true. Guys, why don't we have wine?
Why
do we have wine?
Should we go to a puppet show? What do you think?
Yeah, anything else that you wanted to say on the tales grow in the telling? Since obviously we've talked about it already, but this is where Baelor says it on the four lances. It was 7, and Dunk is embarrassed, and there's just that kind of sweet. Again, it's sweet. He's
being nice. He's like, don't get mad at Arlan for exaggerating tales grow in the telling. But that's just like the thesis of this show.
Yes,
tales grow in the telling.
Just one more way to prove the kind of chivalry and wisdom that Arlan was always talking to Dunk about.
The tourney at Ashford Meadow matters. It sets some wheels in motion for history.
Yes.
But this version, this humble Dunk and Egg version that we are experiencing is not what the history books will say about the tourney at Ashford Meadow, right?
What will they say about the Stokeworths who get a mention here? Shout out Lawless. Shout out Bronn. Miss that guy. All right, puppets and shields. Tell me about it. Because Baelor says as Dunk is leaving, he sees Ser Arlan's shield and he's like, I do have one note, actually.
Baelor Breakspear's like, I'm going to introduce a continuity error. I'm going to need you to get rid of that shield, which you will have in later scenes.
He's not Ser Arlan's actual blood, and so he cannot.
Yeah, and he doesn't say it shittily. He's just sort of like, you got to, hey, bud, you got to make your own kind of music.
Tales grow in the telling.
Make your own sigil. Make your mark on the world.
You're going to need to continue to flesh out your own origin story here.
As we talk about, Tenzel and the puppeteers are doing Florian the Fool, and we'll talk about the grave significance of that. But as we talk about Egg and Tenzel and Dunk sort of no bad idea in a brainstorm, sort of crowdsourcing the various elements of the sigil, it's Baelor's idea that there should be a sigil in the first place. So Baelor has an impact here too in terms of the creation of the sigil, which I really like.
Beautiful. It's a tapestry forged by all those hands.
Sub-creators, baby.
Professor's always welcome.
Yeah.
Egg loves this puppet show. Dunk loves
he's having
a puppeteer.
He's like so cute.
It's precious. You really feel that he's a kid.
I rewound. Okay, so like his little face watching was so cute. But Peter Claffey's like, I've mastered the heart eye emoji.
It's incredible.
Is very endearing. His like very just like goofy boyish smile as he's just like staring at Tenzel. He just adores her, and he's taking boyish glee in the puppet show as well. Like it's just very sweet.
But he's taking glee, that's for sure.
You're trying to make it. I really do think when he says you're not too tall
for
kissing,
the exact angle of
for smooching,
sex,
for smooching,
blowjobs,
for kissing.
No. I mean, sure, kissing will be involved, and
in the book, he's thinking about kissing in that very
the tavern
moment.
Where she had to sit at the table and he was embarrassed that she had to sit there to kiss him. It's very sweet.
It's not too tall for fucking. It's too tall for kissing for me.
Everything aligns properly for Dunk here. Here's some textual evidence. The puppeteer who worked the dragon was good to watch too. A tall drink of water.
Yeah.
With the olive skin and black hair of Dorne, she was slim as a lance with no breasts to speak of. But Dunk liked her face. And the way her fingers made the dragon snap and slither at the end of its strings.
Rejected.
Hand
he
job.
Likes her artistry.
Hand job.
He thinks she's an artiste. He loves her craft.
Yes,
craftswoman.
Yes, a woman of many talents. And why not all of the above? You could be a great puppeteer and a wonderful painter and also give a hell of a blowjob.
How dare you?
All right,
this
Florian
is pure chivalric love. This is pure.
Dunk is super horny and really wants to get laid.
He's
like routinely like, I shouldn't be thinking about kissing. I should be thinking about jousting.
Kissing, not fucking.
Yeah, well, what do you think he wants kissing to lead to?
More kissing. He's very sweet.
More kissing. Oh my God, you're the best. All right, tell me about Florian the Fool. Tell me about Florian the Fool. Yeah. Speaking of
Um,
beautiful love stories, genuinely.
I just have to say, the great Harry Lloyd, like, I love him.
Yeah. No,
His
yeah.
Dornish accent,
Brutal.
not my fave. Okay. Because I was like, you are no knight. You are. I'm not going to do his accent.
It's wild. Yeah.
You are no knight. You are Florian the Fool. I am, my lady, as great a fool as ever lived, and as great a knight as well. A fool and a knight. I've never heard such a thing. Sweet lady, all men are fools, and all men are knights. Where women are concerned, I'm obsessed with the way that they did like the pause for that, and the puppeteers had him like waggle his little head as he said it. I thought that was great
stuff. Dunk was also thinking about the waggling of little heads.
Okay,
it's
I played along with your many Arlan dick jokes. Preserve the innocence of Dunk until book 2 is what I will have to say. Okay. He thought back on all the songs he had heard, songs of Blind Simeon Star Eyes and Noble Serwyn. That's not Sir Win, but Serwyn of the Mirror Shield, and Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, and Sir Ryan Redwine, and Florian the Fool. They had all won victories against foes far more terrible than any he would face. But they were great heroes, brave men of noble birth, except for Florian. And what am I? So here's Florian the Fool.
Yeah.
All men are fools, all men are knights, who, in that sort of like upward mobility sense that we're talking about, can you be a fool and of humble birth and also be a knight? And this is sort of like as much as heavy as the text was in the last episode of making the comp between Serwyn of the Mirror Shield and Dunk, Florian is the real comp here.
Dunk is like, okay, that guy. That could be me.
Yeah.
More relatable than some of the other mythic figures for Dunk, certainly.
And this is something that has come up again and again in A Song of Ice and Fire. We've talked in our trailer coverage and stuff like that. Sansa thinking about Florian and Jonquil.
Yeah.
Sansa's song for Sandor, Sir Dantos pledging to be Sansa's Florian, and Robin John pretending to be Florian. This is how Sandor Clegane received this. Florian and Jonquil, a fool and his cunt, spare me. But one day I'll have a song from you, whether you will it or no.
Who's this guy think he is? Lionel Baratheon?
Sandor. I have a lot of notes. Okay, so like they go see Tansel after the show, and this is part of the whole continuity issue, right?
Yeah.
Where, as we mentioned on Talk the Thrones, later when Dunk is talking to Steely Pate, when he's selling his horse, all that sort of stuff like that, when he's looking at the empty tourney field, he has the shield on. They've digitally erased the sigil, but he has the shield on. And that's because that's the order of the scenes in the books. Mm-hmm. And here's another clue that this is why it was shot out of order, or like they sort of cut it out of order. Mm-hmm. He gives money to here's another, here's one copper for you and another. He's being very free with the pennies.
Dunk has no game.
Well, he has no game, but he has no money until he sells the horse.
Yes.
And once he has the horse, then he has coppers to throw to the puppet girl, so.
Yeah.
Just saying. It's fine.
Egg's quite interested in the fire, how the fire tricks work.
He's scientifically minded. Pollen.
Did you know that pollen could be used for pyrotechnics?
Do you think House Beesbury knows that pollen can be used for pyrotechnics?
I mean, I assume so. Okay. If you're going to be the bee house, you should probably know these things. This sounds like now my least desirable job in Westeros.
Pollen collector?
My allergies.
Oh, your allergies simply could not.
Absolutely couldn't handle it. It's a no for me, and that's sad because I think the puppet show seems really fun. But if we're just flinging pollen about, it's not going to work for me. It's not going to work. Egg is like, Dunk is very embarrassed as he's like,
does not have the words. He told us.
Oh boy, you must think I'm such a fool. Like, I'm here to ask you for this thing, but I don't know what it is. It's very charming. Egg is embarrassed. He's kind of like huffing on the side, trying to help out. It's very sweet and very cute. As we've noted, Dunk had never been with a girl, and they made him nervous. Canonical virgin, and you can really feel it in this scene.
Perfect for kissing.
And some other stuff, some hand and mouth stuff. Tansel invokes this Florian line that we just saw and heard in the puppet show. Like, well, you must think me such a fool. All men are fools, and all men are knights. We loved in episode 1 that Lionel idea and that Lionel line of inside every man there are many men. And so this is another through line, right? Tales go with the telling. What makes a knight a knight? Inside every man, there are many men. Every man is a knight and a fool. Like the multitudes that you contain, the contradictions that you contain.
Will you allow me a moment,
please,
to talk about Septon Maribald?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. What a thrill
from A Feast for Crows.
Yeah.
So the Broken Man speech, which is like one of the most famous Game of Thrones speeches, which they gave to Ian McShane of Tits and Dragons fame in Game of Thrones. But Septon Maribald is this character in Feast for Crows who talks about the Broken Man.
Yes.
He talks about what it means to, like, thinking about the outlaws that are on the roads, right? So, like, we're thinking about outlaws a lot inside of the context of this story because the Hedge Knights are accused of being outlaws and stuff like that. So he's talking about the outlaws and he's talking about like, hey, how did you think they got this way? They were once men dreaming of valor and war, right?
Yeah.
So he says, quote, there are many sorts of outlaws, just as there are many sorts of birds.
Mm-hmm.
Poop Robin.
Poop Robin, yeah.
A sandpiper and a sea eagle both have wings, but they are not the same. The singers love to sing of good men forced to go outside the law to fight some wicked lord, but most outlaws are more like this ravening hound than they are the lightning lord. Brothers march with brothers, sons with fathers, friends with friends. They've heard the songs and stories, so they go off with eager hearts, dreaming of the wonders they will see, of the wealth and glory they will win. War seems a fine adventure, the greatest most of them will ever know. And then a little later, he's asked like how young he was when he went to war, right? And he says, too young for such, in truth. But my brothers were all going, and I would not be left behind. William said I could be his squire, though Will was no knight, only a potboy armed with a kitchen knife he'd stolen from the inn. He died upon the stepstones and never struck a blow. It was fever did for him and for my brother Robin. Owen died from a mace that split his head apart, and his friend John Pox was hanged for rape. The War of the Ninepenny Kings, said Hyle Hunt. So they called it, though I never saw a king, nor earned a penny.
Yeah.
It was a war, though. That it was.
So good.
So like that concept that George has been chasing of, I like this idea of like inside every man, there are many men, right? So like inside every outlaw in this context of what he's talking about, there are many stories of how they got that way.
Right.
There are many different versions of that. And it reminds me a lot of the part in Fellowship that we were talking about when Gandalf talks about pity.
Yeah.
Pity staying Bilbo's hand, and how did Gollum get that way? And who was Gollum?
Right.
And so Septon Maribald is sort of preaching this idea of like, think of the stories that drove these men to this desperation.
Yeah.
Right. We find Dunk in a different kind of desperation, but in a desperate moment.
Sure.
What is the story that got him here?
Right.
And who are these knights? You can call any of these men with a Sir in front of their name a knight.
Sure. Yeah. But
But
what makes a knight a knight?
What makes a knight a knight? What makes a Targaryen a Targaryen? And when we think about Septon Maribald into Feast for Crows, certainly thinking about Brienne, and we're certainly thinking about the Hound.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I love it. What would Gollum have put on his shield?
A ring. Just the ring.
My precious. Not a wriggly fish, Ron Wrigley.
Maybe it's like the Tully trout, like sort of splashing up with a ring around it.
Yes, I like that. Egg thought that Lord Tully ripping the head off the fish was disgusting, but Gollum was like, that's my signature move.
Loved it.
That is my signature move.
Yeah. I love sashimi. I'm a big fan.
Same. LA, great city for sushi.
I've been having a lot of sashimi in my time here, actually.
I mean, I should hope so. Wonderful stuff.
Great stuff.
We've already talked about this collaboration of forging the shield.
Yeah.
Forging the new sigil, this brainstorm. Beautiful. And then Egg gets the puppet line instead of Dunk. Not too tall for puppets. I actually don't like that Egg got that instead of Dunk. I think it's so perfect that it's Dunk in the novella.
I'm kind of two minds about it.
Tell me.
This
You're
idea
at war
that
with yourself?
Dunk doesn't have the right words and Egg has the word that he
But
needs there.
What proves not having the words as perfectly as puppets he finished lamely? It's like the best.
Do we want to talk about Brienne and the sigil? I don't think we've read this passage in the non-spoiler section because we didn't have the sigil yet.
Right. We did that at the end last time. Yeah, let's hit it again. Absolutely.
So in A Song of Ice and Fire, Brienne finds a shield in her father's armory. We don't know any more about it, but we get a description of it. Running her fingers over the green leaves of the tree and along the path of the falling star. So Brienne of Tarth finds Sir Duncan's shield in her father's armory. How did it get there? Tune in to find out.
Indeed. The luck is ours and dunks
And brands.
and eggs and brands.
And pods.
We're all in the same story. It's the best.
Yeah.
Egg has another pep talk for Dunk, but he also is kind of like, because you give me a pep talk. Aren't you supposed to be helping
Ill-handled.
me? Was it ill-handled? Dunk is very embarrassed. Was it ill-handled with the puppet girl? This is where Egg touts that they are both gigantic. Is that promising? It's a commonality. And love that Dunk is looking to his 10-year-old squire for wisdom, because sometimes Dunk is like, I'm the one in charge. Remember, if you steal from me, I'm going to hunt you down with dogs. You don't have dogs. Well, I'll get them, right? Yeah. Routinely throughout the novella, Egg is like, that's not someone you want to challenge. That's not someone you want to face. He's that sigil is that house. And Dunk's like, I know, man. Like Ser Arlan and I served there. He taught me my heraldry. But then there are plenty of moments where Dunk is like, actually, you know more about this than I do. Right. Actually, I just learned something from you. And one of the lines that I love so much is Dunk thinking of Egg. He liked the boldness. He needed to be bolder himself. My squire is braver than I am and more clever.
But here we have Egg talking about how puny he is, right?
Will I ever be able to be a knight? I'm so small.
I'm puny. Rather puny for my age. Quote, growing was the one thing that Dunk did really well, the old man used to say.
And he would know.
Okay.
And Arlan would know.
Okay.
I think this is very sweet. You know, Egg has all of these bits of knowledge, and he's bold and he's confident.
It's a bug in my side.
He's aware. Bug in my side are going to flick it out. But Dunk's size and his strength and his might, it's something that Egg genuinely admires and prizes. And I just loved this little moment. And I was very charmed by the comedy of Dunk saying, you know, well, like people always tell me I'm stupid, and Egg waiting. And you described it as too much sauce, too much dip on the chip, too much sauce for Egg in that moment. I was very taken by it.
I think I said too much sauce on the hot dog for some reason rather than the actual phrase, which is dip on the chip.
So yeah, the hot dog sounds delicious right now, actually. It is lunchtime. Also, we've been talking a lot about dicks. That's the other thing, by the way, about Dunk and Denzel. He's like, would you like a sausage?
That's
in
what
the
they're
novella.
eating.
He's literally like, would you like can I offer you a sausage?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man. Dunk's like, my problems are my
own. And Lionel's like, would you like a tug?
Girl.
Right?
Tug-of-war. So, I feel like my takeaway from this, because Lionel says cunt 3 times, great stuff, pisses off, fucks off in the middle of Tug-of-war to go get a drink. I'm thirsty.
Really good.
Dunk clearly wins this on his own, right? It's another way of showing us his size and his strength.
They don't win until Lionel comes back on the rope.
He barely puts his hand on.
But he holds it down. Absolutely. And we should say,
Squid Game season 1, Dunk would have made it out, I think.
That's definitely what I was dying to make a Squid Game comp. It's 7 versus 7, is it not?
I was counting because I assumed 7 versus 7, and then I thought there were 8.
I think it's 7 versus 7. Does Egg count?
He says he's hanging on for dear life.
Dexter said that they just did whatever they wanted on that tug-of-war thing, and that him like going up on the rope was just something that he did. So, you know, it was just them fucking around, which is just really, really fun.
Lionel is like, he's there for a good time. Have you ever heard anybody
Parker
say?
Also said Lionel only feels alive when he's at war. So tough. So he's like, let's make a war out of this drinking moment. Let's do a tug of war.
Listen, everybody has a pregame ritual, a pre-tourney ritual, and this is his. This is his. This is how this is his pregame play mix.
He's like,
he's basically ready to do an advertisement for bows.
Fuck up their hands so that they can't hold a lance against me in the tourney.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some real
Dry those palms, you clam-handed cunt. We're not in your sister's chambers now. We like to take people behind the curtain. First thing I texted you about was Ser Arlan's dick, and the first thing you texted me about this episode was that line, we can only be who we are. Have you ever heard anybody say, pull you cunt strapped dandelions? It's incredible.
I think we're not in your sister's chambers anymore is like
Very
one of the
good.
funniest fucking things. And I just think Lila Baratheon is a real fucking treat.
The full antler helm armor in the opening joust
In the
at the
tourney,
end of the
yeah.
episode was so sick.
Very good.
Dunk needs armor.
Steely Pate, baby.
I love Steely Pate. You made fun of me once in the trailer because I was like, Steely Pate! Like, he's the most important character in the history of the canon. I thought this performance was great. He has a couple lines and moments that I just love.
I'm pro Steely Pate.
It's too late.
But you were like, where are the Pate heads at?
Where are they? I want to know. Do you even paint, bro? Do you? Oh, man. So Dunk seeks him out because Arlan's armor, as we talked about last week, too small for Dunk, right? How's he going to protect himself in the joust? You're a big one, but I've armored bigger. I love that line. We talk about Dunk. Supposed to be 6'11", not quite, but he's gigantic. But like, he's not literally the biggest man who's ever lived. Like everyone else, he's part of the great span of history.
Steely Pate's supposed to be very small of stature, so I love how they just had this guy sit down and not get up. They're just like, we'll just have you down.
I like to be comfortable when I work, and so does Steely Pate. You know, he is 1 degree removed from my signature move, which is pajamas, fleece blanket, chase. That's how I do the bulk of my work.
It's true.
That I would.
You forgot about the
chase,
TV,
if allowed.
the TV tray. The TV tray is there with your snacks.
It's as you know, it's not just snacks. I eat dinner off that TV tray every night. Adam and I sit side by side, eating dinner off our TV trays, watching television.
It's the American dream. It's the American dream.
We found what works for us. Steely Pate, he's not really like here to win any Fit Watch awards, right? He is here to make sure that a lance doesn't explode your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Just good steel, strong and plain. I make helms that look like helms, not winged pigs and fancy foreign fruit, but mine'll serve you better if you take a lance in the face. Now, of course, as Thrones viewers, instantly, this calls to mind so much of the flashy, ostentatious, showy, highly decorative armor that we've seen over the years. But for Dunk, this is a great moment because it's like armor is not a status symbol for him. I mean, in some ways it is, right? It's can you afford it? Can you enter the list with it on your chest, on your back? It's practical. I need this on me to survive. But there's a very meta aspect to this too, right? Like Dunk is much like the armor that Steely Pate is describing that Dunk is there to procure. Plain. Strong. He's not flashy.
Do you ever read Sarah Plain and Tall in school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dunk Plain and Tall.
Dunk Plain and Tall. Like, but can he serve as a better kind of knight? Another what makes a knight idea? What makes armor functional armor? Like, is Dunk a truer distillation of the essence of the thing? Much like what Steely Pate is going to make for him.
I love that. And, you know, he has his name. He has his sigil that a Dornish puppeteer will paint for him that was crowdsourced from his little bald squire and inspired by the hand of the king. And here's his armor.
Yes.
What makes a knight a knight? These are some of the things.
Unfortunately, this is going to cost
like
800 stag.
Sword and shield don't make a knight, but like, it's part of it.
Part of it. It is part of it. Dunk cannot afford this.
Gotta sell a horse.
But Steely Pate lowers the price. This is what we got the beautiful email about last week and you were talking about last week. He kind of looks at him and he's like,
there's something to you.
We're going to figure this out. I want to help you figure this out, which is a beautiful response. And Dunk, this is a moment I love. This is in the novella. This is in the show. Dunk's like, don't worry. You're going to get it all back. I mean to be a champion.
Sure.
And Steely Pate says,
just you watch. No choice, no chance.
Do you now? And the others all came just to cheer you on. I really love the way that one line concretizes and presents the sheer impossibility of what Dunk is trying to do, right? And a lot of characters have said things that, like, this is another version of Lionel being like, you
no chance.
No chance. And yet Dunk decides to plow on.
Okay, can I...
Sweetfoot.
Dunk says goodbye to Sweetfoot. This is a very beautiful moment.
Sad.
This is Ser Arlan's horse when you see him riding it in the flashback, right? So we got this really beautiful email, I thought, from Maddie, which was actually Maddie, who is a real horse girl, self-described.
Okay.
Wrote an extremely, extremely long email. This is merely part of it. But Maddie wrote, I love that Dunk gets his Aragorn horse girl moment with Valar's, it was Aerion Steed, right? But Aerion Steed that kick knee to the face was brutal. Though he does say easy girl when you can see in multiple shots that the horse is definitely not a mare. Maybe Dunk is too tall to see it down there. The moment before Dunk sells Sweetfoot was so precious and definitely brought me to tears, though Sweetfoot was mostly Ser Arlan's mount. Dunk was the one caring for her, brushing her, and feeding her. talking to her all the while. In a lot of cases, the bond between horse and groom is even stronger than the bond between horse and rider. It's very important to me that the person Dunk sold her to gives her that apple Dunk paid for.
Yeah.
I think another level to Dunk's pain in this moment is that giving up Sweetfoot is likely giving up another piece of Ser Arlan.
Yes.
We got several flashback moments in this episode of Ser Arlan riding Sweetfoot and singing and having a great time. It's clear to see that Sweetfoot and the other horses are part of the family that Arlan and Dunk have formed. I'm the only horse person in my family, but I have friends who have had to decide what to do with a relative's horse after the relative has passed. You want to keep them and take good care of them, and the thought of anyone else owning them or riding them is heartbreaking, but in a lot of cases, it's not economical. Horses are just so expensive. So this idea of like, this idea that she's talking here, that Maddie makes about being the groom, Sweetfoot's groom, and thinking about how we were talking about the sword, like the care that Dunk took with Ser Arlan's sword, just carefully honing it, sharpening it by the fire every night, and just carefully caring for Sweetfoot. And we got, in episode 1, the sort of like, I could sell you all and eat like a king, but this is not what's A, what will that get me in the long run? And B, this is not what Ser Arlan taught me to care for these horses like their family.
Yeah. And when he does end up selling Sweetfoot, it's not to eat like a king. It's not for luxury and gluttony. It's because he genuinely feels like, I must risk all. I have no other choice. I love that line in the novella. Dunk felt as though he was betraying an old friend, which is obviously about Ser Arlan, but like also about Sweetfoot, because he does have such a genuine bond with these animals. And we talked about this last week, how like seeing Dunk in conversation, and we talked about it earlier today, with the horses, like it is such a cheat code to like warm us to the character and show us what kind of heart he has. But that was, as we talk about the bookends of these episodes and what is he seeing anew about who Arlan was, and what is he holding on to and continuing to carry forward. Like, this is one of the things that Arlan taught him that was good and right, and that Dunk will continue to incorporate into his own life. So the old man always said that a knight should never love a horse, since more than a few were like to die under him, but he never heeded his own counsel either. Dunk had often seen him spend his last copper on an apple for Old Chestnut or some oats for Sweetfoot and Thunder. So when we see Dunk do that here, give one of the coppers that he just earned back and say, that's for her, make sure she has some oats tonight and an apple. It's not only because he's a good person who cares about this animal and is pained, genuinely pained to have to say goodbye, and pledges to her, like, if I win, I'll come get you again, I'll buy you back. It's because that's a lesson Arlan taught him that he still holds dear. So it's a lovely little moment for a lot of different reasons. Sweet, 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 Sweetfoot. Time for the opening joust. Egg drops the crabber facts, the Donald bio deets, and we already talked about that. Dunk is opening up here, though, to Egg. He's like, Ser Arlan lived for 60 years and he was never a champion. We're not quite at the end scene where he's going to really stare all the facts in the face, but he's like starting to own a little bit more of the complete picture here, right? He was never a champion. Maybe if I can be a champion, Dunk says, the Targaryens will take me into their household. And Egg is like, you think the Dragon House employs hedge knights? They don't have that checked off on their LinkedIn profile, right? A hedge knight must hold tight to his pride. Without it, he was no more than a sellsword. I must earn my place in that company. If I fight well, some lord may take me into his household. I will ride in noble company then and eat fresh meat every night in a castle hall and raise my own pavilion at tourneys. But first, I must do well. So as we build toward they don't die by the side of the road in a muddy grave, Dunk is already seeking to improve his circumstance.
And I think it's very pointed, right, that he says, eat fresh meat in...
not the hard salt beef.
Not the hard salt beef.
The horn sounds. It's time for the joust. We see Baelor, Maekar, Aerion, Lord Ashford. They're up in the box. Dunk and Egg take their place among the common folk, right? And here are the sides in the book. The champions. Andro, Androw, and Robert Ashford, two of Lord Ashford's sons, Prince Valar, Leo Longthorn Tyrell, and Humphrey Harding.
Humphrey Harding,
yes,
is an absolute badass, right? So this makes a lot of sense, right? Leo Tyrell, Lord Paramount of the region.
Yes. Yeah.
two of Lord Ashford's sons.
Right.
He's the host.
Valar.
Prince Valar.
Yeah. And then
What the hell is Humphrey Harding doing here?
Yeah.
He's the biggest badass.
Bested Sir Donald
He's hardcore.
and a Royce. I really got excited when we picked up there's like all this cool choreography in the joust. Picked up the picking up when you can see
Yeah.
that's Humphrey Harding's shield with the diamonds, the white and the red diamonds. That was very fun. Challengers, this is in the text. I was like, I'll be honest, I'm like, I need glasses, as you know. This is a night scene, even though it was, as you noted on Talk of the Thrones, better lit than some other Thrones night scenes. I was like, are these character sets exactly the same as in the book? It was, I had to kind of really
There's a lot
check.
of freeze framing involved.
The challengers. Unmistakable with the antler helm, the Laughing Storm, Lionel Baratheon. In the text, he challenges Ashy the Younger. Tybolt Lannister challenges Ashy the Elder. The Grey Lion, Baelor said he's going to be entering the list. Sirius, he challenges Leo. Longthorn. Lord Tully, biting off the fish, challenges Humphrey Harding. And then Baelor Hightower challenges, as we noted earlier,
Prince Valar.
Prince Valar. The Hightowers can only be the Hightowers. Great stuff. So Dunk sees Valar and he's like,
Ooh, I bet he's going to be the best.
favorite. Bet he's the, yeah, he's
And Egg's
gonna be
like,
best. I'll take that bet.
So here's what's a little clearer in the books, right? This idea of like, I think it's less clear, this idea of like picking who you're going to challenge, who the original champions are, that whole process, which George spends many pages describing in the book.
Many pages, yeah.
But what's clear in the book is that everyone is pulling their punches when it comes to Valar. And they made that clearer in this line, right?
Yeah.
That when Egg's like, Valar,
I doubt it.
not so hot,
I'll take
but
that bet.
he's Prince Valar.
Right. And Dunk
You
is like,
know?
would I even be able to like challenge the prince? Would they let me
Right.
do
And they
that?
start with like the
High
biggest
Lords.
fucking deals get to go first.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Dunk challenging, and this is what, when he and Raymond were talking last week about
Yes.
like, whose shield are you going to pick? Like, who are you going to challenge?
Right.
He's like, it doesn't matter. And he's like, that's what you're supposed to
It
say.
doesn't really matter.
But like, who is Dunk going to challenge
Right.
among these people? Because like, the way you stay in the tourney is you win.
yes.
So
a
whoever
challenger can become a champion.
so what we watch here, 5 against 5, they ride against each other. All 10 lances smash. That's what happens in the book, and that's what happens here. And everyone freaks the fuck out because
Good omen.
this is gonna be
It's gonna be sick.
Sick.
Yeah.
All 10 lances smash. Great. But whoever wins in this is going to like advance,
Right.
you know? And so it's not going to get easier. It's only going to get harder as we
Right.
go.
Yes.
So what is Dunk going to do
Right.
inside of all of this? Is the realization that he is having as he's watching
Yeah.
this, right? And I think that like there's this really cool moment that I think is worth calling out, which is Leo Longthorn himself. Basically, when someone gets unhorsed, he like pulls up, and then he falls off and eventually gets. I think he's the one who like pulls himself up on someone else's horse, essentially. But you're not trying to kill anyone,
Right.
This is play acting war. It's
Right.
pageantry.
Yes.
So though we've seen things go poorly in tourneys before,
Right.
these 5 champions and their 5 challengers are all playing by the rules, which is like,
Right.
we're here
Tourney
to
lances.
we're
Yeah.
here to smash up each other's shields and
Yeah.
lances, but we're not here to like actually fuck each other up. Like
Right.
that's not the point of what we're doing here.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's important that they showed us this here.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought this was really fun.
Really
And
fun.
Very cool. The decision to make it a night joust in the show was I thought some nice like Friday Night Lights energy.
Sure.
You know?
Oh yeah.
If someone had started singing Devil Town, I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
surprised. Right?
Explosion in the Sky starts playing.
Exactly.
Buddy Garrity would love a joust.
Oh my God.
He would want a Jumbotron to put it on, but he would love a joust.
Which house is Buddy trying to be a booster for, though?
Mm,
I mean, frankly, probably the Targs.
I would say the Lannisters.
You're right.
That
Absolutely.
money.
You're right. All the gold. We talked about the anxiety that both Egg and Dunk are experiencing. Egg, when he sees the squires for all of the challengers and champions alike running out, lances in hand, to arm their riders anew. He looks down at his tiny little hands. He's like, am I going to be able to do that? I'm going to have to do that. And it's fun because there's this line in the novella about how, like, it's one of a dozen forms a tourney can take. And Chris was asking us on Talk of the Thrones in episode 1, tourneys and the role in the story. And we talked about they've been present in every show, obviously crucial moments in history. They vary setting to setting. And so this particular mode, the 5 champions, the 5 challengers, there is like a heightening of the theater
Mm-hmm.
right away that really kind of like makes it all feel more keen for viewers, but for Egg and Dunk as well.
I loved the fish bite from the Tully because
Great stuff.
a lot of people have been asking, what relation does this story have to something like A Knight's Tale, the Heath Ledger film? And sure, you can see comps. That film came out after this book was written. So, and then they all are related to either like Chaucer, Ivanhoe, or whatever you prefer. But speaking of Chaucer, speaking of Paul Bettany, the way that Paul Bettany as Chaucer, my introduction to Paul Bettany, one of my favorite things that he's ever done, like just comes out and amps up the crowd as he is announcing Heath Ledger's character, like that pageantry, that theater. We're not like stomping and clapping, "We will rock you," as they do but the energy's there.
No question.
The energy's there. So
people are having a great time. Egg, Dunk he's flashing to Arlan. He's going through it, as we already talked about, this kind of like clarity of this fork in the road moment and the circumstance that he has found himself in and the distance from the humble roots. Egg gets back to camp and he's like, "Die, you Blackfire pretenders!"
Hi-ya!
He's play jousting. He is still enraptured by the euphoria of that experience, even though he obviously was.
But
like,
then he understands that that's not the vibe at camp.
He sees that Dunk is going through it. He notes the pensive mood. He asks if he's okay, and this is when Dunk says the line we've referenced a few times: "Do great knights live in the hedges and die by the side of a muddy road? I think not." This is yet another moment line that is pulled basically right from the book.
Right.
Sir Arlan had taught him as best he could, but the old man had never been the greatest of knights, even when young. Great knights did not live their lives in the hedges, nor die by the side of a muddy road. "That will not happen to me," Dunk vowed. "I will show them that I can be more than a hedge knight." So
I will show them.
I will show them. This idea, I will be more than a hedge knight, while holding on to the fact that the hedge knight could be the truest and purest kind of knight, that Dunk is evolving in, embracing kind of the totality of that. I really, really, really loved this scene. I loved the way that Peter Claffey as Dunk like bit the hard salt beef, even just at the ending note, is like, it's hedge knight's food.
Yeah.
As he's making this pledge, this
and the
declaration.
last meal he shared with Arlan.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's another tie to the past. Does he have the coin or the opportunity to feast in some grand fashion? No, but it's like, this can fuel me.
But I mean, he ate high on the hog with Lionel Baratheon. He could have
another pastry. Asked for another pastry.
He could have snuck his way into another tent. But
this is going to get me ready.
I'm eating the hedge knight meal.
Sir Arlan wasn't gifted with sword or lance, and he drank and he whored, and he was a hard man to know. He made no friends either. He lived nigh on 60 years and never was a champion. What chance do I have truly? So what chance do I have truly is a repeating refrain. He was a hard man to know really hit me. I thought that line and that delivery was great because, first of all, it's sad. This idea, as we've talked about, that this is the person Dunk spent the bulk of his life with, and the horses. And he was a hard man to know. How much of that is for other people, but how much of it was for Dunk?
But also, Egg is such an easy boy to know. You know what I mean? Like, he's so open and so, talkative and all these other things. So, for Dunk to have this new experience.
Yeah. I love that. This, more honest accounting that he has of confronting that Arlan wasn't always maybe honest or kind or the hero that he wanted to be or that Dunk wanted him to be, what makes a knight, but also that he's, pairing it with the pledge, but he was good to me. I wasn't his family, but he kept me like we were. He raised me to be an honorable man. And all these noble lords can't even remember his name. His name was Sir Arlan of Pennytree, and I am his legacy. On the morrow, we will show them what his hand has wrought. There is not a story where the idea of legacy is more central than Game of Thrones. Tywin Lannister would have.
I don't know. Are you watching this season of Industry?
I'm one episode behind, but yes, I am watching and enjoying. So I just loved this final note. I loved this idea that Dunk is finding the aspects to hold forth and prize and cherish, and also updating
what to keep and what to
his view of the thing,
what to leave.
Book spoilers.
Let's do it.
If you don't want to hear us talk about things that are happening in the future in the book, this is where you leave. We will see you for episode 3. Burr, burr, burr. Okay. Have you left? Are you gone? Goodbye. All right, Egg. Do you think that people could watch this episode of television and not know that Egg is a Targaryen?
Because some people watch shows so casually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He does make a little gasp when he sees the Targaryens.
He's like, I need to leave right now.
I think if people don't know and they're close watchers, they probably figured it out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I think there are plenty of people who will be surprised.
One of Maekar's missing sons
There are
is
plenty of
named
people who
Aegon.
watch things casually.
It's true. I thought that they
And
amplified the clues
don't
in this
go
episode,
on
for
the
sure.
internet.
I thought even more than the just direct is Egg a secret Targ, you can say fuck their permission and the royal lapdogs, all that.
That's
It
what
was just real princely vibes.
That's what I was trying to
real
I think
princely privilege
you're
vibes.
betters. Yeah, exactly.
I think on the it's painful to go through the whole pod on the Maekar front and not be able to say that his third son is Maester Aemon. I can't wait to be able to do that very soon in this story. It's very hard to not be able to do that.
Can I shout out a line I really loved?
Please.
When Dunk says to Egg, "You're a likely lad,"
Mm-hmm.
because Aegon will become Aegon the unlikely.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Fire stuff. It's worrying.
Yeah, so if people are here in the spoiler section and they don't know, so Egg is Aegon Targaryen, who will become Aegon the Unlikely, the king, and he also, in pursuit of maybe rebirthing the dragons, is responsible for the Great Fire at Summerhall.
Yeah.
How responsible? Perhaps we will find out if we get
I
there
hope
on the
so.
show. But his interest in how did you make that fire is
worrying.
Is tough.
On the Baelor front, I make it a practice to learn all I can of my foes. A nice little just like, I'm tactically minded. I am strategic as a setup for the Kingsguard. They're on the other side of the Trial 7. They can't touch me. I'm a prince of the realm. Kind of just like a little bit of setup for how his mind works on the strategy front. Obviously, most importantly, just setting him up as an honorable guy who will make the decision to stand with Dunk. Aerion quickly established as a douche.
Yeah.
So that's effective. I think also in the scenes for next week, they just show him saying the dragon must never lose. And as we talked about last week in the scenes for the season, they just totally gave away everything that Aerion does,
and I
which
think
I don't understand.
How Aerion conducts himself in the joust, if they're doing that, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Maekar.
Yeah.
I do not need to be reminded of my son's failings. He can change. He will change. Gods be damned. Or I swear I'll see him dead. Darren dies.
I like this as like set up for Dunk at the end when Maekar's like, okay, he can, you can take him as the squire. And then in the novella, Dunk is like, he's like, I'm not going to go to Summerhall.
Yeah, he's like, you can come to Summerhall where I live, and he can be your squire there. And Dunk's like, no, I'm going on the road, dude.
Like, did Darren and Aerion, like, did they ever have any steak that wasn't like soft and bloody? You know, look at those guys and look at where it led them. I thought that was well set up here too. Kingsguard.
They will be on the opposite side of this fight. The Trial of the Seven, which is Duncan and his allies, which includes Baelor and Lionel, and a Beesbury and a Harding and a Fossaway, against Aerion, Maekar,
yes,
and the Kingsguard, and a Fossaway, and etc.
Will you forgive Sir Donald for killing Beesbury?
I shall not.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I would like to spend more time with this Beesbury before we lose him. It would be nice.
The mustache dance in episode 1 wasn't enough.
No, it's never enough as far as Beesburys are concerned. But here's Duncan. He's like, here are my honorable, bright white heroes, and they're gonna be on fucking Aerion's side in this fight that we have at the end of the season.
It's brutal. Tough. I do like when Sir Roland comes back around in the third novella and the Mystery Night when he's arrives as part of the Bloodraven crew. I am excited for that, but obviously mostly on the Kingsguard front. Sir Duncan the Tall, future Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. So this stuff is meaningful. 4 pages for Sir Duncan.
I say Barristan Selmy. The epitome, the platonic ideal of Kingsguard is Sir Duncan the Tall. For all of the Kingsguard that come after, for all of the knights that come after, for all the boys of the realm and the Briennes of the realm who come after, right? It is Sir Duncan the Tall.
The best. On the Steely Pate front, in the novella, I always love that he is the one when Dunk is like, they're for me? Like, why are they for me? And Steely Pate is the one who's like, because you like stood up for them and you did the thing a knight is
You
supposed to
helped
do.
Tansel.
Yeah, so just seeing him kind of in this like tender, open-hearted place felt like a good setup there. What else? We got a nice good look at Valar's armor, presumably to set up the iconic book moment when Baelor is initially mistaken
Briefly.
for the young prince when he comes in his armor because he has to wear his son's armor. What else? Roger of Pennytree. The mace to the face delivered by Gorman Peak, who is a key figure in the third novella and the third season, presumably, of this show. And that is a really great aspect when Dunk is like, you're a piece of shit, but also I have personal reason
to hate you.
To hate you. And it is what you did to Roger of Pennytree. Anything else on the book spoiler front?
I mean, I do think that Tug-of-war was 7-on-7. I do think it was. And I think it was just like a little mini preview. And even though Lionel like comes back and Lionel will be on Dunk's side in the fight, Lionel wanting a fight at all times, spoiling constantly for a fight is a good reason to have him in the final mix. But also Lionel leaving like is very Stefan Foss way, just sort of like, don't put your stake in these lords. They are mercurial and they will just they will stir up a fight and then leave you, you know. So
you said you'd stand for him. Now, did I? I'm sure I meant it at the time.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, so Stefan, he sucks. Can't wait for episode 3.
I believe episode 3. They said that episode 3 is when the reveal happens.
Yeah, and the New York Comic Con panel, Dexter was like, episode 3 is my favorite episode.
So we'll be much freer to talk about why this story matters next week, which is exciting.
Wait. All right. Thank you. Thank you to our squad today. Carlos Chiriboga.
The greatest.
Arjuna Ramgopal.
Even though he's a Patriots fan?
Yeah. I can't believe
we love you,
gets to see his team
Arjuna.
in the Super Bowl. He was at the AFC Championship
He's
game.
like, from you, Joanna, who knows
Having
nothing
the time
about
of his
football?
life.
Why?
Joe Miadenaron on the social. And Donald, as mentioned, Donald Lobianco here with us today, helping us out. Thank you, Donald. Wonderful stuff. We will be back Sunday night with CR for Talk the Thrones right after episode 3. And then we will see you next Tuesday evening for the House of Our Deep Dive on episode 3.
And for that, Hype Draft.
Did someone draft a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms? You'll have to find out.
Tune in. Bye.